When a misspelled text message at 1:13 a.m. leads you to the most dangerous man in the city, do you run or stay? Lyra Vale never imagined that 3 angry words sent by mistake would change her life. The recipient is Kael Draven, heir to the most fearsome criminal dynasty on the East Coast. They shouldn't have met. They shouldn't have fallen in love. But when his enemies begin hunting her, the lines between love and survival blur in the darkness. Follow this story to the end. Like and comment the city you're viewing to let me know how far the story has progressed. Let's begin. The text arrived at 1:13 a.m. on a Tuesday that had already beaten Lyra Vale into the ground. 3 words typed in anger, exhaustion bleeding through her thumbs as she jabbed at the screen. I hate everything. Send. The blue bubble appeared. Done. She dropped the phone onto her unmade bed and pressed both palms against her eyes until white stars burst across the darkness. 14 hours bent over a drafting table. 14 hours rendering the precise anatomy of a severed femoral artery for a surgical textbook that would probably sell 12 copies. Her neck felt like someone had replaced her vertebrae with rusty nails. The phone buzzed. Lyra ignored it. Probably her mother asking why she never called anymore. Or her ex-roommate forwarding another passive-aggressive article about women who work too much and die alone with cats. It buzzed again. She grabbed it, ready to silence the damn thing entirely, and froze. The message wasn't from anyone in her contacts. It was from a number she'd saved months ago after one weird misdial at 3 in the morning, some stranger asking if this was the emergency vet clinic. She'd said no. He'd apologized, and for reasons she couldn't explain, she'd saved it as unknown K instead of deleting it. She'd forgotten it existed. Until now. That makes 2 of us. Lyra stared at the screen. Her brain struggled to catch up. She scrolled back through the conversation thread and her stomach dropped into her feet. She'd sent the message to unknown K, not to her best friend Iris, not to her sister, to a complete stranger whose voice she'd heard exactly once, for maybe 40 seconds, months ago. Oh God! She said it out loud to her empty studio apartment. The radiator hissed in response. Oh God, oh God, Another buzz. Rough night? Her thumb hovered over the keyboard. She should apologize. Explain the mistake. Delete the contact and pretend this never happened like a functional adult. Instead, she typed, "You have no idea." 3 dots appeared immediately. Disappeared, appeared again. Try me. And that's how it started. Not with romance, not with sparks or destiny or any of that bullshit Lyra had stopped believing in after her last relationship imploded in a spectacular mess of thrown dishes and restraining order threats. It started with exhaustion and a wrong number and a stranger who didn't try to fix anything. They texted until 4 in the morning. Not about anything profound. Lyra complained about her client who kept demanding changes to illustrations that were already anatomically perfect. Unknown K described a business meeting that had lasted 6 hours and accomplished nothing. She told him her apartment smelled like burnt coffee and sadness. He said his office smelled like expensive leather and lies. What do you do? She asked, around 3:30 a.m., her guard finally lowered by fatigue. I manage family business. You? Medical illustrator. I draw organs. It's sexier than it sounds. Everything's sexier than it sounds at 3:30 a.m. She laughed out loud at that. Actually laughed. Alone in her apartment, at a text from a stranger. When was the last time that happened? It's time that... They didn't exchange real names. He stayed unknown K. She stayed whatever he'd saved her as. Probably wrong number girl or insomniac. It should have ended there. It didn't. The next night, Lyra found herself checking her phone every 15 minutes while finishing a detailed cross-section of a human heart. She told herself she wasn't waiting. That would be insane. She was just aware. At 11:47 p.m., her phone lit up. Still hate everything? She smiled despite herself. Getting there. You? Ask me in 3 hours. And they were off again, longer this time. Deeper. He asked questions that required actual thought, not the standard, what do you do for fun interview bullshit. He wanted to know what she'd choose if she could only draw one part of the human body forever. Why medical illustration specifically? What keeps her awake besides work? She found herself answering honestly. Something about the anonymity made it easier. He was just words on a screen. No judgment, no history, no expectations. The heart. she typed. If I had to pick one thing, people think it's romantic, but it's not. It's mechanical. Brutal. 4 chambers pumping blood because stopping means death. Nothing poetic about it. Just survival. His response took longer than usual. That's the most honest thing anyone said to me in months. You talk to boring people. I talk to dangerous people. There's a difference. Lyra's fingers paused over the keyboard. Dangerous how? The kind who smile while deciding whether you're useful. She should have felt alarmed. Warning bells should have screamed in her head. Instead, she felt curious. Are you one of them? The 3 dots appeared and vanished 4 times before his answer came through. Probably. But you're not smiling right now. No, I'm not. 3 weeks passed like that. Late-night conversations that stretched until dawn. Lyra started sleeping through her alarm, started drinking too much coffee, started thinking about unknown K during the day when she should have been concentrating on pancreatic ducts and lymphatic systems. She learned things gradually, piece by piece. He lived in New York. Manhattan, specifically. He read history books when he couldn't sleep. Military strategy, political collapses, the fall of empires. He had a sister he never talked about, and a father who cast a shadow he couldn't escape. Lyra gave him pieces, too. Her mother, who called every Sunday to ask about grandchildren, Lyra had no intention of producing. Her anxiety that manifested as obsessive sketching. The way she felt invisible most days unless she was drawing something that made people's insides visible. You ever feel like you're just going through motions? She asked. One Thursday at 2:15 a.m., like you're watching yourself live instead of actually living, every single day. What do you do about it? I'm texting you at 2 a.m. instead of sleeping, so clearly I have it all figured out. She laughed, then typed, We're a mess. Yeah, we are. The first time he called, Lyra almost didn't answer. It was a Saturday. She was elbow deep in reference photos of dissected cadaver hands when her phone rang with an unknown number. She stared at it for 3 rings before realizing. She answered, Hi. His voice was different than she remembered from that first accidental call. Lower, more controlled, like he was consciously smoothing out any emotion that might leak through. Hi, Lyra said back. Her own voice came out smaller than intended. Silence stretched between them. Not awkward. Something else. I don't know why I called, he finally said. I don't know why I answered. More silence. What are you doing? He asked. Drawing severed hands. You? Conference call. Muted myself. Rebel. She heard something that might have been a laugh. They've been arguing for 40 minutes about a contract nobody's going to sign. I thought I was going to lose my mind. So you called me. Yeah. That's weird. I know. But Lyra was smiling, actually smiling at her desk covered in anatomical sketches and cold coffee mugs. They talked for 18 minutes. About nothing. Everything. The conversation felt like walking across ice that might crack at any second, but holding steady anyway. When he had to go back to his meeting, she felt the absence immediately. That should have been the warning sign. It wasn't. November bled into December. The conversations intensified, phone calls at midnight, texts during lunch breaks. Lyra started structuring her days around the possibility of hearing from him, started checking her phone compulsively, started feeling a spike of disappointment when an hour passed without contact. Iris noticed during their Wednesday coffee meetup. You're being weird, Iris said, stirring sugar into her latte with more force than necessary. Weirder than normal weird. Who is he? What? No one. I'm not. Lyra, you've checked your phone 6 times in 10 minutes. You haven't heard a word I said about the gallery opening, and you're doing that thing with your hair. Lyra's hand froze mid-twist. What thing? The nervous thing. The I have a secret thing. Iris leaned forward. Spill. So Lyra told her. Not everything. The edited version. She was texting someone. They'd never met. It was probably nothing. Iris's expression shifted from curious to concerned. You don't know anything about him? I know things. Real things? Like his actual name, where he works, whether he's married with 6 kids? He's not married. You don't know that. But Lyra did. She couldn't explain how, but she knew. It's not like that. We just talk. At midnight. Every night. For weeks. Iris sat back. Babe? That's exactly like that. Lyra wanted to argue, couldn't find the words. Just be careful, Iris said quietly. People lie on the internet. That's like rule one of being human. I know. She did know. Of course she knew. It didn't change anything. That night, Lyra broke the unspoken rule first. What's your real name? She typed at 1:42 a.m. The response took so long she thought he wasn't going to answer. Then, Kael Draven. She stared at the name. It felt solid, real, like it carried weight. Lyra Vale, she sent back. I know. Her heart stuttered. What do you mean you know? 3 dots. Then, I looked you up 3 weeks ago. Your website, your portfolio. I'm sorry. I should have told you. Lyra's hands went cold. He'd known her name this whole time, seen her work, probably seen her picture on her professional site, the one where she looked halfway put together instead of the exhausted disaster she actually was. She should have felt violated, creeped out. Instead, she felt seen. Did you find anything interesting? She asked. You won an award in 2022 for that cardiac anatomy series. The judges called it hauntingly precise. You really dug deep. I wanted to know who I was talking to, and you're exactly who I thought you were. Which is? Someone who sees things other people miss, who draws the inside of things because the outside doesn't tell the truth. Lyra's breath caught. She read the message 3 times. Your turn, she typed. Tell me something real. The pause was longer this time. I'm not a good person, Lyra. I do things that would make you walk away if you knew. Try me. My family, we're not normal. The business I mentioned, it's not spreadsheets and board meetings. It's power, control, things that don't show up on tax returns. Lyra's pulse kicked up. Are you saying you're a criminal? I'm saying my family built an empire on fear, and I'm part of it whether I want to be or not. She should have stopped texting, blocked the number, told Iris she was right. Instead, why are you telling me this? Because you asked for something real, and I'm tired of lying to the only person who doesn't want anything from me. Lyra sat in her dark apartment, phone glowing in her hands, and made a choice that would crack her life wide open. I want to meet you. She hit send before she could second guess it. The 3 dots appeared immediately. Disappeared. Appeared again. Are you sure? No. She wasn't sure at all. Every rational cell in her brain screamed that this was insane, dangerous, stupid. Yes, she typed. Friday, 2 p.m. There's a cafe on West 4th, public, safe. If you change your mind, don't show up. I'll understand. I'll be there. Lyra. Yeah? I'm not what you're expecting. Good, she sent back. I hate expectations. She didn't sleep that night, or the next 2 nights. By Friday morning, Lyra had changed her outfit 7 times, redone her makeup 4 times, and seriously considered faking her own death to get out of this. Iris called at noon. Please tell me you're not actually doing this, Iris said without preamble. I'm doing this. Lyra, you don't know this man. He could be anyone. He could be… I know, okay? I've thought about all of it. Every worst-case scenario, I'm still going. Silence. Then, I'm tracking your location. If you're not home by 5 p.m., I'm calling the cops. Deal. The cafe was exactly what Kael had described. Small, bright, windows facing the street. Lyra arrived 10 minutes early and picked a table near the back where she could see the door. Her hands shook as she ordered coffee she wouldn't drink. 2:04 p.m. Still alone. Maybe he changed his mind. Maybe this was some elaborate catfish situation and she was the idiot who fell for it. 2:07 p.m. The door opened, and everything Lyra thought she knew shattered. He was tall. That registered first. Well over 6 feet, moving with the kind of control that came from complete awareness of his body in space. Dark hair, sharp features, wearing a black coat that probably cost more than her rent. But it was his eyes that stopped her breathing. Gray, cold, scanning the room with the precision of someone trained to identify threats before they materialized. Then they landed on her, and something shifted. The ice cracked, just for a second. He walked toward her table. Every person in the cafe noticed. You couldn't not notice. He commanded space without trying. Lyra forced herself to breathe. Lyra. Not a question. He knew. Kael. Her voice came out steadier than she felt. He sat across from her. Up close, she could see details the distance had hidden. A thin scar through his left eyebrow. Tension in his jaw like he was consciously preventing himself from clenching it. Hands that looked like they'd broken things, including other people. "You came," he said. "So did you." The corner of his mouth lifted, barely. "I wasn't sure you would." "I wasn't sure either." Silence settled between them. Different than over the phone. Heavier, real. "You look," he started. "Terrified," Lyra offered. "I was going to say exactly like your website photo, but yeah, also terrified." "You look like someone who's committed felonies." The words were out before she could stop them. Horror flooded through her. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean—" But Kael laughed, actually laughed. The sound was rough, like he didn't do it often. "That's fair, accurate even. I really need to learn when to shut up." "Don't." He leaned forward slightly. "Everyone around me performs. You don't. It's refreshing, annoying, terrifying," he said, matching her word from earlier. Lyra felt something loosen in her chest. "So we're both terrified. Great foundation. The best relationships are built on mutual fear. Is that what this is? A relationship?" Kael's expression shifted, became serious. "I don't know what this is. I don't do this. Meet women in cafes? Meet anyone, talk to anyone, let anyone." He stopped, ran a hand through his hair. The gesture was so human it made her ache. "You should probably run, right now, walk out and block my number and forget this happened." "Why?" "Because I meant what I said. About my family, about what I do. You're a medical illustrator who draws hearts and saves lives indirectly. What? What are you, Kael?" His eyes met hers. No shields, no performance, just truth. "I'm the person they send when talking stops working, when negotiations fail, when someone needs to understand that certain decisions have permanent consequences." He paused. "I enforce things. I make people comply. And I'm very, very good at it." The cafe noise faded into background static. Lyra should have felt fear. Revulsion. Every survival instinct should have screamed at her to leave. Instead, she asked, "Do you want to be?" "What?" "Good at it. Do you want to be that person?" Kael stared at her like she'd spoken a language he'd forgotten existed. "No one's ever asked me that." "I'm asking." He was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. "No, I don't." "Then why?" "Because it's the family. Because my father built this empire before I was born, and I'm the heir whether I want it or not. Because walking away means war, and war means people die, and—" He stopped himself. "And you don't want to hear this." "I asked, didn't I? Why?" He looked genuinely confused. "Why aren't you running?" Lyra thought about it, really thought about it. "Because for the last month, you've been the only person who talks to me like I'm real. Not a productivity machine. Not a womb my mother once filled. Not a cautionary tale about women who work too much. Just me." She met his eyes. "And maybe you're dangerous. Maybe you've done terrible things. But you never lied to me. And that counts for something." "It shouldn't." "Too bad." They sat there. Two people who had no business being in the same room, let alone the same life. Kael broke first. "I should go." Disappointment hit Lyra like cold water. "Right, of course. But I don't want to." Her heart kicked. "Then don't." "Lyra." "Coffee. Just coffee. We're two people having coffee. Nothing illegal about that." "Everything about me is illegal." "Then I guess I'm breaking the law." Something changed in his expression, softened. "You're insane." "Probably. Is that a problem?" "Yes." But he didn't move. "Can I ask you something?" "Anything." "Why medical illustration, specifically?" The question surprised her. "You really want to know?" "I wouldn't have asked otherwise." Lyra wrapped her hands around her untouched coffee mug. "When I was 16, my grandmother had a heart attack. The doctors explained what happened using this diagram that looked like it was drawn in the 1950s. Black and white, crude. My grandmother was terrified because she couldn't understand what was happening inside her own body. She looked up. I started researching that night, found these incredible modern medical illustrations, detailed, precise, beautiful, almost. And I thought, if she'd seen something like that, maybe she wouldn't have been so scared. Maybe understanding the machinery would have helped. Did it? She died 3 weeks later, but yeah, it helped. She asked me to draw her heart for her. I did. Showed her exactly what had failed and why. She cried. Then she said thank you, 2 days before she died. Lyra's throat tightened. So I guess I draw hearts because someone I loved needed to see hers. And now I can't stop. Kael was silent for a beat. Then, that's the second most honest thing you've ever told me. What was the first? When you texted, I hate everything. That was pure truth, no filter. I was having a bad night. So was I. That's why I answered. They talked until the cafe staff started stacking chairs. 3 hours that felt like 30 minutes. Lyra learned Kael's sister lived in Seattle and hadn't spoken to him in 4 years. That he spoke 3 languages but hated all of them. That he read Marcus Aurelius when business got too brutal because Stoic philosophy was the only thing that made sense anymore. He learned Lyra sketched obsessively when anxious. That she'd once drawn 47 versions of the same kidney because she couldn't get the renal artery angle right. That her mother had stopped asking about her love life after the last breakup ended with police involvement. What happened? Kael asked. He thought no was negotiable. I thought a restraining order would clarify things. Did it? Eventually, after he showed up at my apartment twice. She shrugged. Men are exhausting. Yes, we are. Present company excluded. Don't exclude me. His voice was serious. I'm worse than most. Why? Because I know how to hurt people efficiently, and part of me doesn't hate doing it. The honesty should have chilled her. Instead, Lyra leaned forward. But you hate that you don't hate it, right? Kael's expression cracked. Just slightly. Yes. Then you're not worse. You're just aware. They left together as the cafe closed. The Manhattan evening swallowed them. Noise and lights and people rushing past like blood through arteries. On the sidewalk, Kael stopped. I need to tell you something. Lyra's stomach tightened. Okay. If you keep talking to me, things will get complicated. People will notice, ask questions. My world doesn't stay separate. It bleeds into everything. Is that a warning? Yes. What if I don't care? You should. But I don't. He looked at her like she was an equation that didn't solve. Why? Because I'm tired of being invisible. And when I'm with you, talking to you, I'm not. Something dangerous flickered across Kael's face. Want, raw and unfiltered. Then he stepped back. I'll text you. You better. He walked away. Lyra watched until he disappeared into a black car that appeared the moment he reached the curb. Professional, efficient. Exactly what she'd expect from someone in his world. Her phone buzzed before she'd walked 2 blocks. Thank you for not running. She smiled. Thank you for being honest. It's easier with you. Why? Because you asked if I was okay. No one asked that. Are you? Okay? The response took longer. I don't know, but I want to find out. Lyra made it home, texted Iris she was alive, collapsed on her bed fully clothed. Her phone lit up at 11:33 p.m. Still hate everything? She laughed out loud in her dark apartment. Ask me tomorrow. That became their routine. Coffee turned into dinners. Dinners turned into long walks through parts of Manhattan Lyra had never seen. Kael showed her places hidden between buildings. Small gardens, quiet corners, spaces where the city noise faded to almost nothing. He never touched her. Not once. Like he was afraid physical contact would shatter whatever fragile thing they were building. Lyra didn't push, but she wanted to. 3 weeks after their first meeting, everything shifted. She was working late on a commissioned piece, detailed illustration of a surgical procedure for a textbook, when her building's front door buzzer rang at 2:47 a.m. Lyra ignored it, probably drunk neighbors. It rang again, insistent. She checked the intercom camera on her phone and her breath stopped. Kael stood outside, looking up at the camera. His face was wrong, expression too controlled, hands too still. She buzzed him up without thinking. He knocked 30 seconds later. Lyra opened the door, and the smell of copper hit her immediately. Blood. Jesus Christ, it's not mine. Kael's voice was flat, empty. Most of it isn't mine. He was wearing a white shirt dark with bloodstains. His knuckles were split. There was a cut above his left eye still bleeding slowly. What happened? Lyra pulled him inside, hands shaking. Meeting went wrong. Had to handle it. He swayed slightly. I shouldn't have come here. I wasn't thinking. I'll go. Sit down before you fall down. Lyra sit down. He sat. Lyra grabbed her first aid kit, the professional one she kept for reference work, and started cleaning the cut above his eye. Her hands moved on autopilot, steady, precise. You should ask what I did, Kael said quietly. Do you want to tell me? No. Then I won't ask. She felt him watching her as she worked, cleaned the wound, applied butterfly stitches, moved to his hands. You're not afraid, he said. Not a question. I'm terrified. But not of you. You should be. Lyra met his eyes. The blood. Is the person alive? Scared, but alive. Did they deserve it? Does anyone? I asked you a question. Kael was quiet. Then, he was selling information about my family to federal investigators. People would have died. So I made sure he understood the consequences of talking. How? You don't want details. Maybe I do. No, you don't. His voice was hard, final. Lyra finished wrapping his right hand. Is this what you do? This is the enforcement part? Yes. How often? Often enough that I'm good at it. She should have felt revulsion, horror, every normal human emotion. Instead, she felt sad. For him, for the person he'd become because he didn't know how to be anyone else. I'm sorry, she said. Kael's head snapped up. What? That you have to be this person. That you're good at something you hate. I'm sorry. He stared at her like she'd reached into his chest and ripped something out. Why aren't you kicking me out? Because you came here, not to your people, not to your family, to me. And I think that means something. It means I'm weak. It means you're human. Same thing in my world. Lyra sat back. You can't keep doing this. I don't have a choice. Everyone has a choice. Not in my family. You're in or you're dead. There has to be. There isn't. He stood abruptly. I need to go. This was a mistake. Kael? Thank you for... He gestured vaguely at his bandaged hands. This. But I can't. You can't be part of this. Too late. I already am. No, you're not. We stop now. Clean break. Lyra felt panic claw up her throat. Is that what you want? He looked at her for a long moment. No, but it's what you need. Don't tell me what I need. Someone has to. Why are you really leaving? Because... He stopped, jaw working. Because you looked at me just now like I was worth saving, and I'm not. I'm too far gone. That's bullshit. It's reality. Then change it. I can't. You won't. Kael's control finally cracked. You want the truth? Fine. I kill people, Lyra. Not directly. Not with my own hands, usually. But I give orders and people die and I sleep fine after. That's who I am. That's what I do. So no, I can't change it because there's nothing left to change. I'm the monster you read about. The thing people warn their daughters about. And if you're smart, which I know you are, you'll let me walk out that door and forget this ever happened. Silence crashed through the apartment. Lyra stood, walked toward him, stopped close enough to feel his breath. You're right, she said quietly. I should let you go. I should forget about the texts and the phone calls and the coffee and all of it. I should go back to my safe, boring life drawing organs for textbooks nobody reads. Yes, you should. But I won't. Why the hell not? Because you're lying. She stepped closer. You said you sleep fine after, but you don't. You show up at my door at 3 a.m. covered in blood because you can't stand being alone with what you've done. You text me at midnight asking if I hate everything because you need to know someone else feels as broken as you do. You're not a monster, Kael. You're a person who's been forced into a box you don't fit and you're suffocating inside it. His hands clenched. You don't know what you're talking about. Then tell me I'm wrong. Look me in the eye and tell me you don't wish you could walk away from all of it. Tell me you don't hate what you've become. Kael's composure shattered completely. Of course I hate it. I hate everything about it. I hate that I'm good at hurting people. I hate that my father looks proud when I come back bloody. I hate that my sister won't speak to me because she knows exactly what I am. I hate... His voice broke. Lyra waited. I hate that the only time I feel human is when I'm talking to you, he finished. And that terrifies me more than anything I've ever faced. Why? Because people close to me get hurt. It's not a metaphor. It's a pattern. And I won't let you become collateral damage in my fucked up life. Maybe that's my choice to make. Not if you don't understand the risk. Then explain it. Kael's laugh was bitter. You want the reality? Fine. Being connected to me means surveillance, federal, rival organizations, people looking for leverage. It means your name going into databases, your face memorized by people who kill for a living. It means looking over your shoulder forever because there's always someone looking for a weakness. And you, he gestured at her, you're the biggest weakness I've ever had. The words hung in the air like smoke. I don't care, Lyra said. You should. Stop telling me what I should feel. Someone needs to because you're clearly not thinking straight. Or maybe I'm thinking clearly for the first time in years. They stood inches apart, both breathing hard, tension coiling between them like a live wire. This is insane, Kael said. Probably. We barely know each other. I know enough. Lyra, shh. Are you going to kiss me or keep arguing? The question detonated between them. Kael froze. What? You heard me. I can't or won't. Both. Why? Because once I start, I won't be able to stop. And you deserve better than someone who's covered in blood and broken inside. Lyra reached up, cupped his face in both hands. What if I don't want better? What if I just want you? Something in Kael broke open. He kissed her like drowning, like she was oxygen and he'd been suffocating for years. His hands found her waist, gripped hard enough to bruise, pulled her against him with desperate intensity. Lyra kissed back just as hard, tasted copper and coffee and something darker she couldn't name. When they finally broke apart, both gasping, Kael pressed his forehead against hers. This is a mistake, he whispered. Then we'll make it together. He pulled back slightly, looked at her with something that might have been hope or might have been terror. I don't know how to do this. Relationships, normal things. Good. I'm terrible at normal too. My life is dangerous. So's crossing the street. I'm serious. So am I. Kael exhaled slowly. If we do this, if we really do this, there are rules. I'm listening. You don't ask about business. You don't get involved in family matters. And if I tell you to run, you run. No questions. Deal. My turn. You don't lie to me. You don't shut me out when things get bad. And you stop trying to protect me from yourself. That last one's not negotiable. Neither is mine. They stared at each other, deadlocked. We're going to destroy each other, Kael said quietly. Maybe. Or maybe we'll save each other. You really believe that? I don't know, but I want to find out. Kael kissed her again, softer this time, almost gentle. When he pulled back, his eyes held something she'd never seen before. Vulnerability. He stayed that night, fell asleep on her couch while she worked. She glanced over every few minutes, watching his chest rise and fall, and wondered what the hell she'd just gotten herself into. Her phone buzzed at 6:17 a.m. Unknown number. Stay away from Kael Draven if you value your safety. This is your only warning. Lyra's blood went cold. She looked at Kael sleeping across the room, still exhausted, still human, and realized their real problems were just beginning. Lyra stared at the message until the screen went dark. Then she read it again, and again. Stay away from Kael Draven if you value your safety. This is your only warning." Her hands had gone numb. The phone felt like a brick of ice against her palm. Across the room, Kael stirred on the couch. His breathing changed, shifted from sleep to something closer to consciousness. Even half asleep, his body sensed disturbance like a predator catching scent. Lyra's first instinct was to wake him, show him the message, ask what the hell this meant. Her second instinct, the one that won, was to screenshot it and say nothing. She didn't know why she made that choice. Maybe because part of her needed to see how deep this went before dragging him into it. Maybe because the message felt like a test she was supposed to pass alone. Or maybe because some animal part of her brain whispered that showing Kael would make this real in a way she couldn't take back. She deleted the message, cleared the screenshot to a hidden folder, went back to her drafting table like nothing had happened. Her hands shook so badly she couldn't hold the stylus. Kael woke at 6:43 a.m. She knew because she'd been watching the clock, watching him, watching the door, like someone might kick it down any second. "You didn't sleep." His voice was rough with exhaustion. "Neither did you." "I slept for 4 hours. That's basically a vacation for me." He sat up slowly, wincing. The movement pulled at muscles that were probably screaming. "What time is it?" "Almost 7. "Shit." He ran both hands through his hair. "I need to go. Meeting at 8. "With who?" The question came out sharper than intended. Kael's eyes cut to her face, assessing. "Family business?" he said carefully. "Right. The thing I'm not supposed to ask about." "Lyra, I'm not asking. I'm just—" She stopped, forced herself to breathe. "Nothing. You should go." He stood, crossed to where she sat at her drafting table, stopped just close enough that she could feel his body heat. "Something's wrong," he said. Not a question. "I'm fine." "You're lying." "I'm tired." "Try again." Lyra met his eyes, gray and sharp and seeing too much. "It's nothing, just work stress." Kael studied her face for a long moment. She could practically see him cataloging details, her pulse point, her breathing, the tension in her shoulders, reading her like a threat assessment. "If something happens," he said quietly, "you tell me. Immediately." "Like what?" "Anything unusual. Calls from unknown numbers, people following you, anyone asking about me." The message burned in her mind. "Why would someone ask about you?" "Because you're connected to me now. And people notice." "What kind of people?" "The wrong kind." He kissed her forehead, a gesture so tender it made her chest ache. Then he was gone, moving through her apartment like smoke, out the door before she could find words to call him back. Lyra sat alone in the gray morning light and wondered if she'd just made the biggest mistake of her life. The answer came 3 days later. She was meeting with Eleanor Chen, Senior Acquisitions Editor at Prometheus Medical Publishing, to discuss a contract for a comprehensive cardiac surgery atlas. 18 months of work, 6 figures. The kind of project that could define her entire career. They met at Eleanor's office in Midtown, sleek glass and chrome, views of the city stretching toward the horizon like a promise. Eleanor was 40-something, sharp-eyed, with the kind of precision that came from cutting through bullshit for a living. She'd loved Lyra's portfolio, called her work revelatory. The meeting started well. "The preliminary sketches are extraordinary," Eleanor said, spreading Lyra's samples across her desk. "The level of detail, the way you balance scientific accuracy with visual clarity, it's exactly what we need." Lyra felt hope unfurl in her chest. "I've been developing this approach for years. Each illustration tells a story, not just what the anatomy looks like, but how it works, why it fails." "It's brilliant. Truly." Eleanor paused, adjusted her glasses. "Which is why this is so difficult." The hope died instantly. "What is?" "I need to be direct. The board had concerns." "About my work?" "About you." The room tilted slightly. "I don't understand." Eleanor's expression was genuinely sympathetic. "They ran a background check. Standard procedure for contracts this size, and your name came up connected to—" She stopped, chose her words carefully. "Someone with a complicated reputation." Lyra's blood turned to ice water. "Who?" "Kael Draven." The name landed like a blade. Eleanor kept talking, but Lyra barely heard through the rushing in her ears. Family has been under federal investigation for years. Money laundering, racketeering, extortion. We can't have our brand associated with that kind of... I'm not associated with anything, Lyra cut in. Her voice sounded distant. I'm a medical illustrator. Who's been seen publicly with Kael Draven multiple times in the last month? Manhattan isn't that big, Lyra. People talk. Photographs exist. Photographs of what? Coffee? Dinner? Walking down the street? Photographs that link you to a family under active investigation. Our legal team won't sign off on the contract. I'm sorry. I fought for this, but the risk is too high. Lyra stood. Her legs felt like water. So that's it? My career gets destroyed because I know someone you don't approve of? It's not about approval, it's about liability. Optics. If federal charges materialize, if his name ends up in headlines, we can't have our publications connected to that ecosystem. I'm not part of any ecosystem, I draw hearts. And you're involved with someone who breaks them. Eleanor's voice softened. This is my advice, off the record. Walk away from Kael Draven. Publicly, cleanly. Give it 6 months. Then we can revisit this conversation. Lyra walked out without another word. She made it to the street before her knees gave out. Caught herself against a building, breathing too fast, vision tunneling. 6 figures, 18 months of work. Her entire career trajectory, gone. Because someone had been watching, taking notes, building a file. The message from 3 days ago suddenly made perfect sense. Stay away from Kael Draven if you value your safety. Safety. Not just physical, professional, financial, every kind of safety that mattered. Her phone rang. Kael. She stared at the screen, let it go to voicemail. It rang again immediately. This time she answered. What? Where are you? His voice was sharp, alert. Midtown. Why? I need you to listen carefully. Don't go home. Don't go anywhere predictable. Find a public space and stay there until I... What happened? Someone made a move, sent a message. I don't have details yet, but until I know who... I just lost the biggest contract of my career because of you. The words came out flat, dead. Silence on the line. What are you talking about? Kael said finally. Prometheus Medical Publishing. They ran a background check, found out I'm connected to you, decided I'm too much of a liability. Lyra, you said things would get complicated. You didn't say they'd destroy my life. I can fix this. How? You going to threaten them? Break someone's fingers until they sign the contract? That's not... Because that's what you do, right? Enforcement. Making people comply. Stop. Why? It's the truth. I said stop. His voice went cold. The warmth bled out completely. Where are you exactly? Why does it matter? Because there's a black SUV that's been following you since you left that building and you need to move. Now. Lyra's head snapped up, scanned the street. There, half a block back, a black Escalade with tinted windows, crawling through traffic. Not hurrying, not hiding, watching. Oh God. Walk toward the subway. Don't run. Stay on the phone with me. Kael, what's happening? Just move. She moved, legs shaking, heart hammering against her ribs. The Escalade kept pace, not closing distance, just there. Who is that? She whispered. I don't know yet, but they want you to know they're watching. That's the message. This is insane. This is my world, the one I warned you about. Lyra reached the subway entrance, descended into the station. The fluorescent lights felt too bright, too exposed. I'm underground, she said. Good. Take the next train. Any direction. Change trains twice, then find a hotel. Not one you've been to before. Pay cash if you can. I don't have enough cash for... I'll send someone with money. Just get somewhere safe. Who are you sending? Someone I trust. Do you even have people you trust? Kael was quiet for a beat. 1 or 2. The train arrived. Lyra got on, watched the doors close. The SUV couldn't follow underground. I'm on the 6 train heading downtown, she said. Good. Stay on the line. They didn't talk, just breathed together through the phone while the train rattled through darkness. Lyra watched her reflection in the black window, pale, exhausted, terrified. This morning she'd been a medical illustrator with a promising career. Now she was running from strangers in black SUVs while a man with blood on his hands gave her instructions for survival. "Why is this happening?" she asked finally. "Because someone wants to hurt me, and they figured out the fastest way to do that is through you. So I'm leverage. You're a target. There's a difference." "Not to them." Lyra got off at 14th Street, changed to the L train, then the A, following Kael's instructions mechanically while her brain struggled to process reality. She found a hotel near Penn Station. Small. Anonymous. The kind of place that didn't ask questions if you paid in cash. The man Kael sent arrived 20 minutes later. Tall. Scarred. Looked like he'd been assembled from spare parts of other violent men. He handed her an envelope without speaking. Inside, $3,000 in hundreds and a burner phone. "Mr. Draven says use this to contact him. Destroy your regular phone." Destroy it? Battery out, SIM card broken. Throw the pieces in different trash cans. That seems excessive. The man's expression didn't change. "You want to argue with the guy keeping you alive?" "No?" "Then destroy the phone." He left. Lyra locked every lock on the hotel room door, sat on the bed that smelled like industrial cleaner and other people's choices. She destroyed her phone, hated every second of it. The burner rang at 9:47 p.m. "Are you okay?" Kael's voice. "Define okay." "Alive, unhurt, not currently being threatened." "Then yes, I'm the definition of okay." "Lyra Vale. Who were those people?" "I'm working on it." "That's not an answer." "It's the only one I have right now." She laughed, bitter and sharp. "You know what's funny? This morning my biggest problem was a deadline. Now I'm hiding in a hotel with $3,000 in cash and a phone that looks like it came from a spy movie. My life is unrecognizable." "I know, I'm sorry." "Sorry doesn't fix this." "I'm going to fix this." "How?" "By finding who's behind it and making sure they never threaten you again." "Making sure how?" Silence. Kael. "Making sure how?" "You don't want details." "Stop protecting me from the truth." "The truth is ugly." "I don't care." More silence. Then, "I'm going to hurt them, badly. And then I'm going to make sure everyone in my world knows that touching you means war. Is that clear enough?" It should have horrified her, should have sent her running in the other direction. Instead, Lyra felt something darker unfurl in her chest. Relief, savage and primal. "When?" she asked. "Soon." "And then what? I live in hotels forever, run every time a black car drives past?" "No. Then you're untouchable, protected, safe. By you." "Yes." "The man who enforces things." "Yes." Lyra closed her eyes. "I lost my career today because of you." "I know. That contract was everything. 18 months of work, my entire reputation. I'll get it back. You can't threaten a publisher into—" "I'm not going to threaten anyone. I'm going to make a phone call. By tomorrow morning, Eleanor Chen will be calling you to apologize and reinstate the contract." "How?" "Her company is backed by venture capital. That capital comes from investment firms. Those firms have board members. Board members have interests. And I know which interests matter." The words settled like stones. "You're going to manipulate her into hiring me. I'm going to remove the obstacles preventing her from hiring you. There's a difference." "Is there?" "Yes. Because you earned that contract with your talent. I'm just making sure fear doesn't overrule merit." Lyra wanted to argue, couldn't find the angle. "This is wrong." "Probably. I should hate this." "Do you?" She thought about Eleanor's face. The sympathy that couldn't override corporate liability. The contract evaporating because someone decided Lyra was acceptable collateral damage. "No," she admitted. "I don't." "Then let me handle it." "And the people in the SUV?" "I'll handle them too." "Kael, trust me." "That's a big ask from someone I've known for 6 weeks." "I know, but I'm asking anyway." Lyra lay back on the hotel bed, stared at the ceiling with its water stains and broken dreams. How did this become my life? "You sent a text to the wrong number." Worst mistake I ever made. You don't mean that. She didn't. That was the terrifying part. What do I do now? She asked. Stay there tonight. Tomorrow I'll send someone to bring you to a safer location. Safer than a hotel? Much safer. Where? My place. Lyra sat up. Absolutely not. It's the most secure location in the city. Armed security, surveillance. No one gets in without clearance. It's also your place. Where you live, that's too fast. This isn't about relationship milestones. It's about keeping you alive. I can take care of myself. Against professional killers? With what? Your sketching skills? I have mace. Lyra. What? Please. The word sounded like it cost him. Please let me protect you just until this is resolved. She wanted to refuse, wanted to prove she didn't need protection from anyone, wanted to be the kind of woman who handled her own problems. But she was also the kind of woman who was terrified and alone in a hotel room with $3,000 in cash and no idea who was hunting her. Fine, she said, but this is temporary. Agreed. And you don't get to control my life just because I'm staying with you. Understood. I mean it, Kael. I'm not some helpless damsel who needs... I know exactly who you are. Trust me on that. Something in his voice made her stop. What does that mean? It means you're the woman who looked at me covered in blood and asked if I was okay. Who didn't run when I told you what I do. Who just lost her career because of me and still answered my call. He paused. You're not helpless. You're terrifying. I'm terrifying. Completely. Good. She heard him laugh, soft and real. Get some sleep. I'll have someone pick you up at 9 a.m. Will you be there? Do you want me to be? Yes. She wanted it so badly it scared her. I don't know. Honest answer. I appreciate that. Kael? Yeah? Thank you. For the money. For the help. For... She stopped. Just thank you. You don't need to thank me for protecting you. That's not negotiable. The line went dead. Lyra sat in the silence, turned on the television for noise. Some late-night talk show. Canned laughter and celebrities pretending their lives were normal. She fell asleep with all the lights on. The knock came at 8:47 a.m. Lyra woke disoriented. Hotel room, right, running for her life. Normal Wednesday morning, she checked the peephole. A woman stood in the hallway, mid-30s, athletic build, eyes that scanned the corridor like a soldier checking for snipers. Ms. Vale? I'm here for Mr. Draven. Lyra opened the door. The woman stepped inside efficiently. I'm Simone. I'll be escorting you to the residence. Do you have belongings to collect from your apartment? Yes, clothes, my work equipment. We'll stop there briefly, 15 minutes maximum, pack only essentials. Why only 15 minutes? Simone's expression didn't change. Because that's how long we can guarantee security. Right, of course. They left the hotel and through a service entrance. A car waited, unmarked, unremarkable. The kind of vehicle that disappeared in traffic. Lyra's apartment felt alien when they arrived, like a museum of her old life. The life from 2 days ago when her biggest problem was a deadline. She packed mechanically, clothes, laptop, hard drives with work files. Her favorite stylus, the photograph of her grandmother. Simone watched the street through a gap in the curtains, never relaxed, never stopped scanning. Time, she said at 14 minutes. Lyra grabbed her bag. They left. The drive to Kael's place took 20 minutes. Lyra watched the city change through the window, neighborhoods getting cleaner, buildings getting taller, money becoming visible in the architecture. They pulled into an underground garage. Simone used 3 different security checkpoints to access the elevator. The elevator required both a key card and a fingerprint. Mr. Draven is in a meeting, Simone said as they ascended. He asked me to get you settled. Make yourself comfortable. He'll be back this afternoon. The elevator opened directly into the penthouse. Lyra stepped out and her brain stuttered. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan. Minimalist furniture that probably cost more than her annual income. Art on the walls that looked museum quality. Everything precise, controlled, expensive. Guest room is down the hall, Simone said. Second door on the right. Kitchen is fully stocked. Don't open the door to anyone except Mr. Draven or myself. What if there's an emergency? Press the red button by the elevator. Armed response in 90 seconds. Jesus Christ. Standard precautions. Simone headed back to the elevator. Welcome to the residence, Ms. Vale. She left. The elevator doors closed. Lyra stood alone in the most expensive silence she'd ever experienced. She explored slowly. Living room. Kitchen with appliances she didn't recognize. Library with books in 3 languages. Gym that looked military grade. The guest room was simple. Clean. A bed that looked like it had never been slept in. Windows overlooking the city. Lyra sat on the edge of the bed and checked the burner phone. One message. Eleanor Chen. Lyra, I need to speak with you urgently. Please call me at your earliest convenience. There's been a development regarding the contract. Lyra stared at the message. Kael had said he'd handle it. She hadn't believed him. She called. Eleanor answered on the first ring. Lyra, thank you for calling back. I owe you an enormous apology. For what? For yesterday, the board meeting, all of it. Eleanor sounded flustered. Unusual for her. There was a misunderstanding, a misrepresentation of facts. We've since clarified the situation, and I'm pleased to offer you the contract. Full terms as originally discussed. What changed? Our legal team received additional information that resolved their concerns. The background check was incomplete, misleading, actually. You're not connected to anything problematic, just some unfortunate coincidences that have been explained. Lyra's hand tightened on the phone. Explained by who? I'm not at liberty to discuss the details. Attorney-client privilege. But I can assure you the contract is yours if you still want it. I want it. Excellent. I'll have the paperwork sent over today. Again, my sincerest apologies for the confusion. The call ended. Lyra sat holding the phone. Kael had done exactly what he said he'd do. Made a phone call. Removed obstacles. She should feel grateful. Instead, she felt hollow. Like she'd won by cheating. Like her talent didn't matter as much as knowing someone who could make problems disappear. The penthouse door opened at 4:23 p.m. Kael walked in looking exhausted. He saw her standing by the windows and stopped. You made it, he said. Your associate was very efficient. Simone's the best. He set down a briefcase, loosened his tie. Eleanor called you? She did. Contract's back on, just like you said. Good. How did you do it? I told you, made a phone call. To who? Does it matter? Yes. Kael studied her face. You're angry. I'm conflicted. About getting your career back. About how I got it back. Lyra turned to face him fully. I earned that contract. My work is exceptional. But now I'll always wonder if they hired me because I'm talented or because someone they're afraid of made a call. They hired you because you're talented. The call just removed the fear that was blocking them from seeing that. That's a convenient rationalization. It's the truth. Is it? Or do you just tell yourself that so you can sleep at night? Kael's jaw tightened. You want to pick a fight? I want honesty. I've been nothing but honest with you. Then tell me what you said on that phone call, word for word. No. Why not? Because you don't need that weight. Don't decide what I need. Someone has to because you're clearly not protecting yourself. From what? You? The word hung between them like a knife. Kael's expression went flat. If that's what you think, I don't know what to think. 3 days ago, someone threatened me. Yesterday, I lost my career. Today, I'm living in your penthouse while you manipulate publishing companies, and I'm supposed to just accept it? I'm protecting you. By controlling my life. By keeping you alive. Those aren't the same thing. Kael walked to the bar, poured whiskey, drank half of it before speaking. What do you want from me, Lyra? The truth. All of it. No more protecting me from reality. You can't handle all of it. Try me. He turned, looked at her with something dangerous in his eyes. Fine. You want truth? The people in the SUV work for my uncle, Lucian Draven. He's second in command of the family organization, and he thinks you're a weakness, a vulnerability he can exploit. Why does he care? Because I've never cared about anyone before, never had anything to lose. And Lucien built his power by exploiting loss. He's watching you to see if you're worth using as leverage against me. And if I am, then he'll take you, hurt you, maybe kill you. Depends on how much pressure he wants to apply. The casual delivery of those words made Lyra's skin crawl. And you're okay with this? Of course I'm not okay with it. Why do you think you're here? Why do you think I have armed security on this building? Why do you think I made that phone call to restore your contract? To control me. To give you a reason to stay alive. His voice cracked. Eleanor was going to blacklist you. Not just from Prometheus, but from every major publisher. Your career would have been over. And you know what happens when people lose everything? They become desperate, careless, easy targets. Lyra's breath caught. You're saying you got my job back to keep me from being vulnerable? I'm saying I gave you a reason to keep fighting, to keep your life normal, because the moment you have nothing to lose is the moment Lucien wins. That's twisted. That's survival. They stared at each other across the expensive silence. I hate this, Lyra said quietly. I know. I hate that I need protection. I hate that my career depends on your intervention. I hate that we can't just be... She stopped. Normal. We were never going to be normal. I know that too. She walked toward him, stopped close enough to see the exhaustion carved into his face. I'm sorry for picking a fight, for being angry about you helping me. That's insane. You're allowed to be angry. Even at you? Especially at me. She reached up, touched his face. He leaned into it like a man starved for gentleness. I got the contract back. I heard. 18 months of work, 6 figures. You earned it. Did I, though? Yes, the work speaks for itself. I just removed the noise. Lyra wanted to believe that, needed to. Thank you. You don't have to thank me for... She kissed him, hard, desperate, needing to feel something other than fear and anger and helplessness. Kael responded immediately, hands in her hair, pulling her closer, kissing her like she was oxygen and he'd been drowning. They broke apart, breathing hard. I should set up my workstation, Lyra said. The contract needs illustrations. Use my office. Second door on the left, whatever you need. Even you? Something shifted in his expression, softened. Especially me. She worked through the evening. Kael brought her coffee, sat in the corner reading while she sketched. The silence between them felt comfortable. Right. At 11:34 p.m., Lyra's burner phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. Hello? Breathing on the other end. Heavy. Deliberate. Then a voice. Distorted. Mechanical. You have 48 hours to disappear before someone makes an example out of you. The line went dead. Lyra's blood turned to ice. The phone slipped from her hand. Kael was across the room in seconds. What happened? They called. Said I have 48 hours to disappear, or they'll make an example of me. His expression went from concern to lethal in half a heartbeat. Show me the number. She did. He pulled out his own phone, made a call. Trace this number, now. Yes, I know it's probably a burner. Trace it anyway. He hung up, looked at Lyra. Pack a bag. We're leaving. Leaving where? Somewhere safer than here. You said this place was secure. It is. But they called you directly, which means they have this number. And if they have this number, they might have more. He was already moving, efficient, controlled, but Lyra could see the tension coiling through his shoulders. Simone will be here in 3 minutes. We go to the secondary location until I know what we're dealing with. Kael, no arguments, please. The please stopped her. She packed. Simone arrived exactly 3 minutes later with 2 additional security personnel. They moved through the building like a tactical unit, elevator to the garage. Different car this time. Armored. Lyra sat in the back seat next to Kael while Manhattan blurred past the tinted windows. Where are we going? She asked. Headquarters. Your family's headquarters? Yes. Is that safe? It's the safest place in the city. My father's paranoia built a fortress. We'll use it. They drove for 40 minutes. Left Manhattan entirely. Crossed into an industrial area Lyra didn't recognize. The car descended into an underground facility that looked more military than civilian. Kael led her through corridors, concrete and steel, men with guns at every checkpoint. This wasn't a business. This was a war room. He brought her to an office, windowless, secure. Stay here. Don't leave unless Simone or I come get you. What are you doing? Finding out who made that call and making sure they regret it. Kael, he kissed her, hard and fast. I'll be back. Then he was gone. Lyra sat alone in the office, listened to muffled voices through the walls, footsteps, doors closing, the machinery of violence preparing to deploy. She pulled out her sketch pad, started drawing, a heart, anatomically perfect, chambers and vessels and the architecture of survival. Her hands shook, but the lines stayed steady. Hours passed. Lyra worked, drew, lost herself in the mechanical precision of cardiac anatomy. The door opened at 3:17 a.m. Kael stood in the doorway. His shirt was torn, blood on his knuckles, face blank with exhaustion. She stood immediately. Are you okay? He looked at her like the question didn't compute. What? Are you okay? Something broke in his expression. He crossed the room, pulled her against him, held on like she was the only thing keeping him upright. No, he whispered into her hair. I'm not okay. Lyra wrapped her arms around him, felt him shaking. This man who enforced compliance through violence, who made people disappear with phone calls, who built his life on control and power, shaking in her arms like a child. It's Lucy Yen, he said finally. My uncle. He's behind everything. The threats, the surveillance, the phone call. He's making a move. Against you? Against the family. And you're the leverage he's using. What does that mean? Kael pulled back, looked at her with eyes gone dead. It means tomorrow there's a meeting, family council. Lucien's going to force a choice. What choice? Him or you? The Empire or the girl? He laughed, bitter and broken. He thinks I'll choose power, because that's what we do. That's what we've always done. What are you going to choose? Kael touched her face, traced her cheekbone with his thumb. I already chose the moment you asked if I was okay. I chose you. Kael, and now people are going to die because of it. The words settled like ash. How many? Lyra whispered. I don't know yet. Depends on who sides with Lucien, who stays loyal. He stepped back. You should sleep. There's a room down the hall, guarded, safe. I'm not leaving you. Lyra said, no, whatever's coming, we face it together. That's the deal. This isn't your fight. You made it my fight when you chose me over your empire. Kael stared at her. You don't understand what you're saying. Then explain it. If I choose you tomorrow, if I walk away from the family, Lucien will hunt us both, forever. There's no retirement from this life, no peaceful ending, just running until someone finds us. Then we run. You'd give up everything? Your career, your life? For this? For you, Lyra corrected. And yes, he looked at her like she was the most impossible thing he'd ever encountered. Why? Because a month ago I sent 3 angry words to the wrong number, and it turned out to be the right number all along. She stepped closer. Because you're the first person in years who sees me, really sees me, and I'm not walking away from that. Even if it gets you killed? Even then. Kael kissed her, desperate and drowning. When he pulled back, his eyes were wet. I don't deserve you, he said. Probably not, but you're stuck with me anyway. They stayed in the office. Lyra went back to her sketching. Kael made phone calls in a language she didn't understand. Russian, maybe. Dawn broke somewhere above them. Underground, time became abstract. At 8:42 a.m., Simone appeared in the doorway. Sir, the council is gathering. Kael stood, looked at Lyra. Stay here. Whatever happens, I'm coming with you. Absolutely not. You don't get to lock me away while you destroy your life for me. I need to see this. Lyra say, together. That was the deal. He wanted to argue. She could see it in his face. But something stopped him. Maybe exhaustion. Maybe acceptance. Fine, but you stay behind me. And if I tell you to run, you run. No questions. Agreed. They walked together through the corridors, toward whatever came next. The council room was exactly what Lyra expected. Long table, hard faces, men who'd built empires on fear, and at the far end, Kael Draven. He looked like an older, crueler version of Kael. Same gray eyes, same dangerous stillness. But where Kael carried violence like a burden, Lucien wore it like a crown. "Nephew," Lucien said, "you brought your pet." Kael's hand tightened on Lyra's. "Careful. Or what? You'll defend her honor?" Lucien smiled. "That's the problem, isn't it? You've gone soft, sentimental, weak. I'm here. Let's get this done. Of course, the council has concerns about your judgment, your priorities, your fitness to lead." "Say what you mean, Lucien." "Fine. You're compromised. This woman has made you vulnerable, and vulnerability in our world is death." "Then remove me. Put someone else in charge." The room went silent. Lucien's smile widened. "What did you say?" "You heard me. If you think I'm unfit, replace me. I'll walk away. Right now." "You'd abandon the Empire? Everything our family built? For her?" Kael looked at Lyra, then back at his uncle. "Yes." The word detonated through the room. Lucien stood slowly. "You understand what that means? The consequences?" "Completely." "We don't let people walk away, Kael. You know that." "Then do what you have to do." Lucien's expression went cold. "As you wish." He nodded to someone behind Lyra. She felt movement, turned. Arms grabbed her, pulled her away from Kael. She struggled. "Let go. Take her," Lucien ordered. Kael moved immediately, brutal and fast. The man holding Lyra went down hard. Kael put himself between her and everyone else in the room. "Touch her again, and I'll kill you all," he said quietly. Guns appeared, multiple, pointing at Kael from every angle. Lucien smiled. "There's the nephew I remember, still violent when cornered, still dangerous." He walked closer. "But not dangerous enough. Not anymore. Because you care about her, and that makes you weak. Last warning, Lucien." "Or what? You'll start a war? In this room? You'd die before you took 3 steps. I don't care." "Yes, that's the problem." Lucien gestured. "Take the girl. Let Kael watch what happens when family becomes secondary to sentiment." Men moved forward. Kael's hand shot out, grabbed the nearest gun, fired twice. 2 men dropped. Then everything exploded into chaos. Gunfire, shouting, bodies moving with lethal precision. Lyra hit the ground, covered her head. The world became noise and violence and the smell of cordite. She felt hands grab her again, looked up. Kael, blood on his face, eyes gone cold and dead. "Run," he said. "I'm not—" "Run!" He pushed her toward the door. Simone appeared, grabbed her arm, pulled her into the corridor while behind them the room tore itself apart. They ran. Lyra's mind couldn't process what was happening. Gunfire echoing through concrete, men shouting, the machinery of family destroying itself. Simone got her to a vehicle, shoved her inside. "Stay down." "Where's Kael?" "Fighting. Stay down." The car peeled out. Lyra looked back through the rear window, saw the building, saw men with guns, saw smoke rising, saw her entire world burning. And somewhere in that chaos, Kael was alone, fighting his own family, because he'd chosen her. The car drove for hours. Lyra lost track. Eventually, they stopped at a safe house. Remote, isolated. Simone brought her inside. "He'll come when he can." "How do you know?" "Because he always does. For you." Lyra sat alone in the silence, drew hearts with shaking hands, waited. The phone rang at midnight. She answered. "Kael?" "It's over." His voice was hollow, empty. "Lucien's dead. Half the council is dead. The empire is burning, and I burned it. Are you okay?" "No, but I'm coming to you. That's all that matters." "Where are you?" "An hour away. Maybe less." "Lyra?" "Yeah?" "I love you." I should have said it before, I love you. The line went dead before she could respond. Lyra sat holding the phone, heart pounding, mind reeling. He loved her, and he destroyed his entire world to prove it. Lyra stood at the safe house window watching headlights cut through darkness. Every car that passed made her heart slam against her ribs. Every sound became a threat. I love you. 3 words that should have felt like victory. Instead, they felt like a death sentence handed down by a judge who didn't care about innocence. Kael had destroyed his empire, killed his uncle, burned every bridge connecting him to the only life he'd ever known. For her, the weight of that should have crushed her, should have sent her spiraling into guilt so deep she'd never surface. Instead, she felt something darker, something she didn't want to examine too closely. Relief. Because if his world was burning, he couldn't go back to it, couldn't choose power over her, couldn't wake up one morning and decide sentiment was weakness after all. He was hers now, completely, irrevocably, and that thought terrified her more than the guns or the blood or the men who wanted her dead. Simone appeared in the doorway. You should eat something. I'm not hungry. You haven't eaten in 14 hours. I'm fine. You're in shock. Simone's voice held no judgment, just fact. Eat anyway. You'll need your strength when he arrives. Lyra turned from the window. What happens now, after everything that just happened?
Papunto?
Depends on who survived. Who's still loyal? Who wants revenge? Simone crossed to the kitchen, started assembling food Lyra wouldn't eat. The Draven organization just fractured. Power vacuums don't stay empty. Someone will try to fill it. And Kael? He made his choice. Now he lives with the consequences. Which are? Simone looked at her, really looked. War. Until someone wins or everyone's dead. That's insane. That's the life. Lyra sat at the small kitchen table. Simone put a sandwich in front of her. She stared at it like it was written in a language she'd forgotten how to read. You love him, Simone said. Not a question. Is it that obvious? You're still here. That's answer enough. You think I'm stupid. I think you're brave. Stupid and brave often look identical until the outcome becomes clear. Lyra picked at the sandwich, managed 2 bites before her stomach revolted. How long have you worked for him? 6 years. Why? Simone was quiet for a moment. Because he's the only person in that family who ever asked if I was okay. After missions, after violence. He asked. She refilled her coffee. Everyone else just expected compliance. He expected humanity. That's why you're still loyal, even after all this. That's why I'll stay loyal until he tells me to leave. Or until I'm dead. Whichever comes first. The words should have sounded dramatic. Instead, they just sounded true. Headlights swept across the window at 1:47 a.m. Lyra was on her feet immediately, heart hammering. Simone moved to the door, weapon drawn, checking the security camera mounted outside. It's him. She opened the door. Kael walked in looking like he'd crawled out of a grave. Blood on his clothes, dried now, dark and stiff. Cut above his left eye, bleeding slowly, knuckles split raw. Moving like every muscle screamed with exhaustion, but alive. He saw Lyra and stopped. Just stopped. Like his body had finally reached its limit and movement became impossible. She crossed the room, didn't think, just moved. He caught her, arms coming around her with desperate strength, face pressed into her hair, breathing like he'd been holding his breath for hours and finally remembered how. You're okay, he whispered. You're okay. So are you. Barely. They stood like that, holding each other while Simone quietly disappeared into another room, giving them privacy for this moment that felt too raw for witnesses. Kael finally pulled back, looked at her face like he was memorizing it. I meant what I said, on the phone. I know. I love you. I've probably loved you since that first text. I just didn't have words for it until tonight. Lyra touched his face, felt stubble and dried blood and exhaustion carved into every line. I love you too, even though you're insane and covered in blood and just destroyed your entire life. Especially because of that? Maybe. He smiled, small and broken. We're both insane then. Good. I'd hate to be crazy alone. He kissed her, gentle this time, like she was something precious instead of permanent. When he pulled back, his eyes held questions he didn't want to ask. What happened? Lyra said. After I left? Kael moved to the couch, sat down hard. She sat next to him. He stared at his hands, bloody and shaking slightly. Lucien had support, more than I expected. Half the council sided with him. They wanted me removed, wanted the family to go back to what it was before I started questioning orders. So what did you do? I gave them a choice, stand down or die. His voice went flat, empty. Most chose wrong. How many? 7 dead, 4 wounded. Lucien's inner circle is gone. The power structure collapsed in under an hour. Lyra tried to process that. 7 people dead, because of a meeting, because of her. Don't, Kael said quietly. Don't what? Blame yourself. I see it in your face. This isn't your fault. You wouldn't have been at that meeting if not for me. I wouldn't have had a reason to walk away if not for you. There's a difference. He leaned back, closed his eyes. Lucien was making his move regardless. He's been positioning for years, waiting for weakness. I gave him an excuse, but he would have found one eventually. What happens now? The organization is fractured. Some will try to rebuild under new leadership. Some will scatter. Federal investigators will smell blood and start circling. He opened his eyes, looked at her. And we disappear. Disappear where? I don't know yet. Somewhere they can't find us. Europe, maybe. South America. Somewhere we can start over. The words should have sounded romantic, exciting. Instead, they sounded like exile. What about my career? Lyra asked. The contract? My whole life? You can work anywhere. Medical illustration is international. We'll set up somewhere remote, build something new. Just like that? We run away and pretend none of this happened? We survive. That's all that matters. Lyra stood, paced to the window, stared out at darkness. I can't just abandon everything. Everything is trying to kill you. Not everything, just your family. My former family, and they're very good at killing. She turned to face him. So we run forever, looking over our shoulders, never staying anywhere too long? That's the plan? You have a better one? I don't know. Maybe we fight back. Maybe we... No. Kael's voice went hard. No fighting, no revenge, no war. We disappear and we stay disappeared. That's the only way you survive this. What about you? I'll survive, I always do. That's not an answer. He stood, crossed to her. Listen to me. The people who want me dead are professionals. They won't stop, won't negotiate. Running is the only option that keeps you breathing. And you're okay with that? Just abandoning everything you've built? I already abandoned it. In that council room. The moment I chose you over them. The words hit like a slap. Lyra stepped back. Don't put that on me. Don't make me responsible for your choices. I'm not. I'm just stating facts. Facts that make me feel like I destroyed your life. You didn't destroy anything. You gave me a reason to walk away from something that was already destroying me. That's convenient. Kael's expression hardened. What's that supposed to mean? It means you're rewriting history to make yourself feel better about burning everything down. I'm telling you the truth. Your version of it. They stared at each other, the first real anger crackling between them since this started. You want a different truth? Kael said quietly. Fine. Yes, I destroyed the family organization. Yes, people died. Yes, I chose you over power and legacy and everything my father built. And yes, part of me is terrified I made the wrong choice. Happy now? You think you made the wrong choice? I don't know. Ask me in 6 months when we're hiding in some remote village and you're going insane from isolation. You're the one who wanted this. I wanted you alive. Everything else is collateral damage. The honesty of that statement cut deeper than any lie. I need air, Lyra said. You can't go outside. Then I need space, privacy, something. She walked to the bedroom, closed the door, sat on the edge of the bed and tried to breathe through the pressure building in her chest. This was wrong, all of it. She loved him. That part was true. But love wasn't supposed to cost this much. Wasn't supposed to leave bodies and burned empires in its wake. Her phone, the burner, sat on the nightstand. She picked it up, scrolled through the contacts. Only 3 numbers. Kael, Simone, and one other. Iris. She'd saved Iris's number before everything exploded. Insurance, a lifeline to her old world. Her thumb hovered over the call button. She shouldn't. Calling Iris would be dangerous, would put her friend at risk, would open doors better left closed. But Lyra needed to hear a voice from her real life, the one where the worst problem was a difficult client or a looming deadline. She pressed call. It rang 4 times. Then, "Hello?" Iris's voice, worried, uncertain. "It's me," Lyra said. Silence. Then, "Oh, thank God. Lyra, where are you? I've been calling your number for days. It goes straight to voicemail. I thought you were—" "I'm okay. I can't explain everything, but I'm safe." "Safe where? What the hell is going on?" "There were news reports, something about a shooting in an industrial complex, multiple casualties. And then you vanish?" Lyra's blood went cold. "It's on the news. All over it. They're not releasing names yet, but witnesses reported gunfire. SWAT teams. It's insane. Please tell me you're not involved." Lyra stopped. "How did you explain this?" "It's complicated." "Uncomplicated. Are you in danger?" "Not right now." "Not right now" isn't the same as no. "Iris, is this about that guy? Kael?" Saying his name out loud felt dangerous. "Yes." "Jesus Christ, Lyra. I warned you. I told you to be careful, and you—" "I know. You were right. I should have listened. So leave, right now. Whatever's happening, walk away. Come stay with me. We'll figure this out." The offer hung there. Tempting. Safe. Normal. "I can't," Lyra said. "Why not?" "Because I love him." Iris was quiet for a long moment. "You know that's insane, right? You've known him for what, 2 months? And now you're on the run because of his criminal family? That's not love. That's Stockholm Syndrome." "It's not." "Then what is it? Explain it to me. Make it make sense." Lyra tried, failed. "He sees me, really sees me, and I see him, the real him, not the enforcer or the heir or the monster everyone thinks he is, just him. And that's worth dying for?" "I don't know. Maybe, yes." "That's the most terrifying thing I've ever heard you say." "I know." More silence. Then Iris's voice, softer. "Are you really okay? Not being held hostage, okay? Actually okay?" "I don't know. I think so. My brain keeps trying to process everything and just stalling." "Where are you?" "I can't tell you that." "Can you at least tell me if you're planning to come back? To your apartment, your life, any of it?" Lyra looked around the safe house bedroom. Anonymous, temporary. Nothing that belonged to her. "I don't think so. Not for a while anyway." "So that's it? You're just gone?" "For now." She heard Iris crying, small sounds, trying to stay quiet. "I'm going to miss you. I'm going to miss you too. Be careful, please. Whatever you're doing, whoever you're with, just don't die for this." "I won't. Promise me." "I promise." "Liar." Lyra almost smiled. "Yeah, probably." They said goodbye. Lyra ended the call and sat holding the phone, feeling the distance between her old life and this one stretching into infinity. A knock on the door. "Come in," she said. Kael entered, changed clothes, showered, the blood gone but the exhaustion still carved into his features. "I'm sorry. For earlier. For putting pressure on you. I'm sorry too. For picking a fight when you're barely staying upright." He sat next to her on the bed. "Who did you call?" "How did you—" "The phone logs, I checked. Security protocol." "Right, of course." She should have felt invaded, didn't have the energy. "I called Iris, my friend. I needed to hear a normal voice." "What did she say?" "That I'm insane for staying with you. That this is Stockholm Syndrome. That I should run." "She's probably right." "Yeah, probably." They sat in silence, not touching, just existing in the same space. "The shooting made the news," Lyra said. "Multiple casualties, SWAT response. It's everywhere." Kael's jaw tightened. "Federal investigators will be all over this. They've been looking for a way into the family for years. This gives them everything." "Will they come after you?" "Eventually, but they need evidence, witnesses. Right now, it's just a crime scene. No names, no clear narrative. That buys us time. How much? Maybe a week, maybe less. Then what? Then we run, like I said, disappear before they connect the dots. Lyra looked at him, really looked. You've been planning this, haven't you? The escape routes, the timeline. You knew this was coming. I've been planning since the first threat. I don't leave things to chance. So you've just been waiting for the right moment to burn everything down and leave. I've been waiting for a reason. You became that reason. That's a lot of pressure to put on a person you've known for 2 months. I know, I'm sorry for that too. Stop apologizing. Then stop acting like you're a burden I'm carrying. You're not. You're the only thing keeping me human right now. The words hit hard, honest, raw. Lyra leaned against him, felt his arm come around her shoulders. They sat like that until sleep started pulling at the edges. We should rest, Kael said. Tomorrow's going to be complicated. More complicated than today? Much. They slept in their clothes, on top of the covers. Kael's arm around her waist, like letting go would mean disappearing into whatever darkness waited outside the safe house walls. Lyra woke to voices. Urgent. Angry. The clock read 4:23 a.m. She sat up. Kael was gone. She heard him in the main room, talking to someone. The tone was wrong. Sharp. Defensive. She got up, moved to the door, opened it slightly. Kael stood facing 3 men she'd never seen before. Suits. Professional. Weapons visible under their jackets. Not friendly. You can't be here, Kael was saying. This location is secure. How did you... We've known about this safe house for 6 months, one of them said. Older. Gray hair. Voice like gravel. Did you really think Lucien didn't have contingencies? Kael's entire body language shifted. Predatory. Dangerous. You worked for Lucien. We worked for the family. Lucien was family. You killed him. He gave me no choice. You always have a choice. You chose wrong. Simone appeared from another room, weapon drawn. Leave. Now. Or this gets ugly. The older man didn't even look at her. Put the gun down, Simone. You're outnumbered and outgunned. We're not here for violence. We're here for conversation. Then talk, Kael said. The family council, what's left of it, is meeting at dawn. They want you there. Want to discuss terms. What terms? Succession, power transfer, reparations for the damage you caused. I'm done with the family. The family isn't done with you. That sounds like a threat. It's a reality. You don't get to burn everything down and walk away clean. There are consequences. Kael's hands clenched. I'll pass on the meeting. That would be unfortunate for everyone. The older man's eyes flicked past Kael, found Lyra standing in the doorway. Especially for her. Kael moved immediately, put himself between Lyra and the men. Touch her, and I'll kill you all. We're not here to touch anyone. We're here to deliver a message. Come to the meeting, alone. Negotiate peace. Or we take alternative measures. Define alternative. Use your imagination. The men left, just walked out like they'd been discussing weather instead of threats. The door closed. Silence crashed through the safe house. Pack your things, Kael said without turning around. We're leaving. Now. What was that? Lyra asked. Lucien's contingency. He knew I might move against him. Had loyalists ready to respond. They know about this place. They know about everything. All my safe houses, all my escape routes. He was always 3 steps ahead. Simone was already moving, grabbing bags, weapons, efficient and deadly. Where are we going? I don't know yet. Somewhere off the grid. Somewhere he couldn't have prepared for. Nowhere is off the grid to these people, Simone said. You know that. Then we improvise. They packed in under 10 minutes. Everything essential. Everything portable. Lyra moved on autopilot. Her brain couldn't keep up with the escalation. They left through a back exit. Different car this time. Older. Unremarkable. Simone drove. Kael sat in the passenger seat making calls, speaking Russian. His voice hard and fast. Lyra sat in back watching the city wake up around them. Dawn breaking over buildings that didn't care about violence or empires or people running for their lives. Where are we going? She asked. Pier 39. Container ship leaving for Rotterdam in 3 hours. I'm buying passage. We're fleeing the country? We're surviving. On a container ship? It's off record. No passenger manifest. No paper trail. It's also illegal. Everything I do is illegal. You need to make peace with that. They drove in silence, reached the pier at 5:47 a.m. Simone pulled up to a warehouse, killed the engine. This is where I leave you, she said. Kael looked at her. You're not coming? Someone needs to stay, monitor the situation, feed you information. I'm more useful here than on a ship crossing the Atlantic. Simone, don't argue. You know I'm right. She looked at Lyra through the rearview mirror. Take care of him. He's good at surviving, terrible at living. You're the only person I've ever seen make him want both. Thank you for everything. Simone smiled, small and sad. Don't thank me yet. You might hate me later for not talking you out of this. They got out. Simone drove away, disappeared into morning traffic like she'd never existed. Kael led Lyra into the warehouse, empty except for a man waiting by a shipping container. Money exchanged hands. The man pointed to the container. 3 weeks to Rotterdam. Food and water inside. Don't make noise. Don't leave the container. Captain finds you. You're on your own. Understood, Kael said. They climbed inside. The container smelled like rust and seawater and desperation. Bare bulb hanging from the ceiling, sleeping bags, boxes of supplies. The door closed, locked from outside. Darkness. Then the bulb flickered on. Lyra looked around their new prison. This is insane. This is survival. For 3 weeks? In a metal box? Better than dead. She wanted to argue, couldn't find the energy. Instead, she sat on one of the sleeping bags and put her head in her hands. Kael sat next to her. I know this isn't what you signed up for. I didn't sign up for any of this. I know. And I'm sorry. If there was another way, there isn't. I get it. We run or we die. Those are the options. Not forever, just until things settle. 6 months, maybe a year. Then we can resurface somewhere new, build something real. Lyra laughed, bitter and broken. You really believe that? I have to. Why? Because you're here, and if you're here, there has to be a future worth surviving for. The container lurched, started moving, being loaded onto the ship. They were really doing this, running, hiding, abandoning everything for a chance at something that might not even exist. The ship departed at 8:34 a.m. Lyra felt the engines rumble to life, felt the container sway as they moved out of the harbor, felt every certainty she'd ever had crack under the weight of this new reality. Day 1 passed in silence. They ate from ration packs, drank bottled water, tried not to think about the walls closing in. Day 2. Lyra started sketching. Hearts, lungs, kidneys, anything to keep her hands busy and her mind from fragmenting. Day 3, Kael broke. I should have left you alone, he said, staring at the metal wall. That first text, I should have ignored it, let you find someone normal, someone who doesn't come with death warrants and federal investigations. You didn't force me to stay. I didn't give you the full truth either. You told me enough. Not about Lucien, not about the contingencies. I thought I could protect you from the worst of it. I was wrong. So what now? We wallow in regret for 3 weeks? Maybe. Sounds productive. Despite everything, Lyra almost smiled. We're both disasters. The worst kind. And yet here we are. Here we are. They existed in the container. Time became abstract. Sleep schedules collapsed. Meals happened whenever hunger outweighed apathy. On day 7, the burner phone rang. They both stared at it. The phone shouldn't work. They were in the middle of the Atlantic. No signal, no towers. It rang again. Kael picked it up. Hello? His expression went from confused to horrified in 3 seconds. What? Lyra asked. He put it on speaker. A voice came through, distorted, mechanical. But the words were crystal clear. Kael Draven, this message is being broadcast on a frequency you can't block. Listen carefully. We have Iris Chen, your girlfriend's friend. She's alive. For now. But that depends entirely on your next choice. Lyra's world stopped. No. You have 72 hours to return to New York and surrender yourself to family custody. If you comply, Iris lives. If you run, she dies. Slowly, painfully, and we'll make sure Lyra hears every second of it. The line went dead. Lyra couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Her vision tunneled to a single point of horror. They have Iris. They took her because of me. Because I called her, because... Stop! Kael's voice cut through the spiral. This isn't your fault. Of course it's my fault. I called her. I led them right to her. They were already watching everyone connected to you. The call didn't matter. Then what do we do? Kael stood, paced this tiny space like a caged animal. We turn around. Get off this ship at the first port. Go back. That's a trap. Obviously. You'll die. Probably. Kael, what else do you want me to say? They have your friend. They're using her as leverage. If I don't go back, they'll kill her. Brutally. And you'll carry that for the rest of your life. And if you do go back, they'll kill you. And I'll carry that instead. At least you'll be alive to carry it. Lyra grabbed his arm, forced him to look at her. Don't do this. Don't sacrifice yourself for my mistakes. This isn't about sacrifice. It's about doing what's necessary. No. It's about you thinking you're responsible for fixing everything. You're not. You don't owe me this. Yes, I do. His voice was quiet, final. Because I dragged you into my world, made you a target, got your friend kidnapped. This is my fault, all of it, and I'm going to make it right. By dying? If that's what it takes. That's not making it right. That's just more death. It's the only option that saves Iris. Lyra wanted to scream, to hit something, to rewind time to that first text and delete the entire conversation. There has to be another way, she said. There isn't. Then we find one. In 72 hours? Impossible. Nothing's impossible. You told me that. Remember? When you said you'd get my contract back, when you said you'd protect me, you made impossible things happen. This is different. How? Because this time the cost is me, and I'm willing to pay it. The word shattered something inside her. I'm not. I'm not willing to lose you. You might not have a choice. Then I'll make one. We both will. Together. Kael looked at her, really looked, like he was seeing her for the first time. What are you saying? I'm saying we don't run. We don't surrender. We fight back. Against the entire organization? That's suicide. Maybe. But at least we go down swinging instead of hiding in a metal box waiting for them to pick us off one by one. Lyra, oh, no, listen to me. They took Iris because they know I'm your weakness. Fine. Let's use that. Let's make them think they've won, that you're coming back to negotiate, and then we burn down everything they have left. You have no idea what you're suggesting. Then explain it to me, in detail, every ugly truth, because I'm done being protected from reality. If we're doing this, if we're really fighting, I need to know what that means. Kael was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was different, colder. The enforcer instead of the man. It means violence, real violence. Not movie choreography. It means people begging for death before you give it to them. It means crossing lines you can't uncross. Becoming someone you won't recognize in the mirror. It means your hands covered in blood that never washes off. Not really. You smell it forever. Taste it. Dream about it. And part of you starts to wonder if you were always capable of this level of brutality. If it was always inside you waiting for permission. And you're okay with that? I'm not okay with any of it, but I'm functional. You won't be. You don't know that. I know enough. You draw hearts for a living, Lyra. You save lives indirectly. I end them directly. There's a difference. A fundamental one. And crossing that line changes you permanently. What if I want to change? You don't. Trust me. Stop telling me what I want. They stared at each other. The container walls closing in. 72 hours ticking down. This is insane, Kael said finally. Probably. But everything about us has been insane from the start. Why stop now? Despite everything, the horror, the impossibility, the absolute catastrophe their lives had become, Kael laughed. You're serious. You actually want to do this. I want Iris alive. I want you alive. I want to stop running. If fighting is how we get there, then yes, I'm serious. You'll hate me when it's over. Maybe, Or maybe I'll finally understand who you really are. That's what I'm afraid of. The phone rang again, same distorted voice. Have you made your choice? Kael looked at Lyra. She nodded. We're coming back, Kael said, but we're doing this my way. No family custody, no surrender. We negotiate face to face, neutral territory, or Iris dies and you get nothing. Silence on the line. Then, 48 hours. Pier 17. Midnight. Come alone. I'm bringing Lyra. Then you both die. Try it. See what happens. The line went dead. Lyra felt her heart hammering. What did you just do? Change the game. They expected surrender. I gave them war. Can we actually win this? I don't know. Probably not. But we'll make sure they remember us. That's not reassuring. It's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be true. They convinced the ship captain to let them off at the next port. Cost everything they had left plus the promise of future payment. The man looked at them like they were already dead. Maybe they were. The port was Halifax. They had 41 hours to get back to New York. To plan. To prepare. To become the kind of people who could walk into certain death and somehow survive. Kael made calls. Used connections he'd been saving for emergencies, weapons, information, allies who owed him favors. Lyra watched him transform. The man who'd held her gently in the safe house disappeared. In his place, the enforcer, the strategist, the violence made professional. You need to learn to shoot, he said on the plane back to New York. I've never held a gun. That changes today. They landed at a private airfield. Drove to a warehouse Kael kept off books. Inside, an arsenal. He handed her a Glock 19. Feel the weight. Get comfortable. Lyra held the weapon like it might explode. This is insane. This is survival. Aim, breathe, squeeze. Don't pull. She fired at targets. Missed. Fired again. Hit the edge. By the 100th round, her hands had stopped shaking. By the 200th, she hit center mass. Kael watched with something that looked like pride mixed with horror. You're a natural. Don't say that like it's a good thing. In this context, it is. 24 hours before the meeting, Kael laid out the plan. They'll have people surrounding Pier 17, snipers, ground units, escape routes blocked. They're not expecting us to survive the night. So how do we? We don't go in through the front, we go through the water. Underwater approach, surface behind their position, hit them from the direction they're not watching. That's insane. That's why it might work. Lyra wanted to argue, found she had no better options. What about Iris? She'll be there. They need her alive to maintain leverage. Once we're inside, we find her, extract her, then we burn the whole operation to the ground. Simple. Not even slightly. Kael pulled out a map, marked positions, explained timing, contingencies, failure points. Lyra listened, memorized, became someone she didn't recognize. 10 hours before the meeting, Simone appeared at the warehouse. I thought you were staying behind, Kael said. Changed my mind. You're walking into a death trap. Figured you could use backup. Simone, don't argue, I've already made my choice. Kael looked at her, then pulled her into a brief hug. Thank you. Thank me when we're not dead. 5 hours before the meeting, Lyra sat alone checking her weapon, loading, unloading, loading again. Kael sat down next to her. You don't have to do this. We've had this conversation. I know, but I need to say it again. You can still walk away, disappear. I'll give you everything I have left. New identity, money, protection. You can build a life somewhere safe. Without you. Yes. No. Lyra said, I said no. We do this together or not at all. He looked at her for a long moment, then kissed her, soft and desperate, like goodbye disguised as hello. I love you, he said. I need you to know that. Whatever happens tonight, I love you. I love you too. And we're both going to survive to regret this conversation tomorrow. From your mouth to whatever's listening. Midnight approached like a predator. They geared up. Weapons, comms, waterproof equipment. Simone ran final checks. At 11:17 p.m., they moved out. The water was freezing, black as oil. Lyra followed Kael's lead, breathing through the rebreather, counting strokes, staying focused on movement instead of terror. They surfaced behind Pier 17 at 11:53 p.m. Kael's intel was perfect. Guards positioned exactly where he predicted. Snipers on rooftops, ground units at every entrance, all watching the wrong direction. They climbed onto the pier, silent, efficient. Simone took point. Kael covered rear. Lyra stayed between them. Inside the warehouse, lights blazed, figures moving, voices echoing, and in the center, tied to a chair, bleeding from a dozen small cuts, Iris. Lyra's heart stopped. Kael's hand on her shoulder, steadying. "Wait for my signal." They waited. 30 seconds that felt like hours. Then Kael moved. It happened fast. Too fast for Lyra's brain to catalog. Kael and Simone flowing through the space like violence made liquid. Shots fired, bodies dropping, chaos erupting. Lyra ran to Iris, cut the ropes. "Are you okay?" Iris looked at her with wild eyes. "Who the fuck are you?" "It's me. Lyra. Come on, we need to move." "Lyra's dead. They told me she's dead. I'm very much alive, and we're leaving, now." She pulled Iris up, half-carried her toward the exit. Behind them, the firefight intensified. Lyra heard Kael shouting orders, heard Simone returning fire, heard men screaming. They made it outside, into open air. Freedom 10 feet away. Then the shot rang out. Lyra felt impact, not in her, next to her. Iris crumpled, blood spreading across her chest, eyes going wide with shock. "No, no, no, no!" Lyra dropped to her knees, pressed hands against the wound. "Stay with me, stay with me." Iris coughed, blood on her lips. "Lyra? I'm here. You're going to be okay. Just stay. I'm cold. I know. Just hold on." But Iris's eyes were already going distant, pupils dilating, breath rattling. She died in Lyra's arms at 12:07 a.m., and something inside Lyra died with her. Kael appeared, saw Iris, saw Lyra's face. "We have to go. They're regrouping. She's dead. They killed her after everything." "I know, I'm sorry, but we need to move." "No." Lyra stood, Iris's blood covering her hands, her arms, her clothes. "No more running." "Lyra..." She picked up the gun she'd dropped, checked the chamber, turned toward the warehouse where gunfire still echoed. "What are you doing?" Kael asked. "Finishing this." "That's suicide." "I don't care." She walked back into the warehouse, back into the chaos, and for the first time in her life, Lyra Vale stopped drawing the inside of human bodies and started destroying them instead. Lyra walked back into hell with Iris's blood still warm on her hands. The warehouse had become a war zone. Smoke hung thick in the air. Broken glass crunched under her boots. Sparks showered from damaged electrical panels, casting everything in stuttering orange light. She didn't think. Thinking meant remembering Iris's eyes going empty. Thinking meant feeling the weight of a life ending in her arms. Thinking meant breaking completely. So she stopped thinking. A man appeared from behind a shipping container. Gun raised. Face she didn't recognize. Didn't matter. Lyra fired twice. Center mass, just like Kael taught her. The man dropped. She kept walking. "Lyra!" Kael's voice cut through the chaos. "Get down!" She didn't. Couldn't. Forward momentum was the only thing keeping her upright. Another figure, this one faster, trained. He got a shot off that went wide, gouged concrete beside her head. She didn't flinch. Fired back. 3 rounds. The third one caught him in the throat. He went down choking, drowning in his own blood. Lyra stepped over him without slowing. The warehouse opened into a larger space. This was where they'd been keeping Iris, where they'd cut her, tortured her, used her as bait. 6 men remained, armed, dangerous, faces hardened by years of violence. They saw Lyra and raised their weapons. She should have felt fear, terror, survival instinct screaming to run. Instead, she felt nothing but cold fury burning so bright it erased everything else. "You killed her." Her voice didn't sound like hers. Too flat, too empty. "You took her, and you broke her, and you killed her." "Drop the weapon," one of them said. Older, gray beard, eyes like dead fish. "Now!" Lyra fired at him. Missed. Her hands were shaking now. Adrenaline finally catching up to shock. The warehouse exploded into gunfire. She dove behind a steel pillar, rounds hammering into metal, ricochets screaming past her head. Her ears rang. Her pulse hammered so hard she could feel it in her teeth. This was insane. She was going to die. They were going to cut her down and it would be over, and maybe that was fine. Maybe dying here was better than living with Iris's blood on her hands. Then Kael was there, sliding in next to her, face streaked with smoke and blood, eyes wild but focused. "What the fuck are you doing?" he shouted over the gunfire. "Finishing it. By getting yourself killed? If that's what it takes." He grabbed her face, forced her to look at him. "Listen to me. Iris is gone. I know. I'm sorry, but dying here doesn't bring her back. It just makes her death meaningless." "Nothing about this is meaningful. Then let's make it mean something, together, like we planned." Lyra wanted to argue, wanted to tell him she didn't care about plans or survival or any of it, but his hands on her face felt real, solid, the only thing tethering her to reality. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay." Simone's flanking left. We go right. On my count. 3. He didn't get to 2. The pillar exploded. Something heavy hit it. A grenade, maybe. The blast wave picked them up and threw them 6 feet. Lyra hit the ground hard, tasted blood. Couldn't hear anything except a high-pitched whine. She rolled onto her side. Saw Kael doing the same, both moving on instinct because stopping meant dying. 2 men rushed their position, thinking they were down, vulnerable. Kael shot the first one from the ground. Lyra shot the second. Her ears were still ringing, but she saw him fall. Saw the surprise on his face as he realized a woman half his size had just put 2 rounds in his chest. "Move!" Kael was up, pulling her. They ran for better cover, made it behind a concrete barrier as more rounds chased them. Simone appeared on the far side, moving like a ghost, professional, deadly. She took down 3 men in as many seconds, each shot placed with surgical precision. The gray-bearded man was shouting orders, trying to regroup his people. But Kael and Simone had broken their formation, created chaos, turned the ambush back on the ambushers. "How many left?" Lyra asked. Her voice sounded strange, distant. 4? Maybe 5. Kael checked his magazine. 3 rounds left. "We need to end this fast. I'm almost out." "Me too." He looked at her, really looked. "You're bleeding." "What?" He touched her forehead. His fingers came back red. "Shrapnel from the blast. You're cut." She hadn't felt it, still didn't. Adrenaline was a hell of an anesthetic. "I'm fine." "You're not, but we'll deal with it later." He pulled a backup magazine from his vest, handed it to her. "Last one. Make it count." She reloaded. Muscle memory from hours of practice in the warehouse. Her hands moved automatically while her brain struggled to process everything. Iris was dead. They were trapped in a firefight. She'd killed at least 3 people in the last 10 minutes, and the night wasn't over. "I need you to trust me," Kael said. "Can you do that?" "Always." "I'm going to draw their fire. When they focus on me, you and Simone flank from both sides. Cut them down, fast and clean." "That's a terrible plan." "It's the only one we have. You'll get shot." "Probably, but I've been shot before." "I'll survive." "Kael," he kissed her, hard and fast. "I love you, remember that." Then he was gone, moving into the open, firing, shouting, making himself the biggest target in the room. The remaining men took the bait. All of them turned toward him, weapons tracking his movement. Lyra moved left. Simone moved right, synchronized, professional. They fired simultaneously. Graybeard went down first. Simone shot. Clean headshot. He dropped like someone cut his strings. The man next to him turned, saw Lyra, started to swing his weapon around. She shot him twice, chest and stomach. He folded, went down hard. 2 left. Kael was behind cover now, pinned. They had him in a crossfire. Any movement meant exposure. Simone took one. 3-round burst. The man's body jerked with each impact. He fell backward, didn't move again. The last one was young, maybe mid-20s, face still smooth, eyes wide with the realization that he was alone, outgunned, about to die. He dropped his weapon, raised his hands. "Wait, please, I'm done." Simone shot him anyway, single round, through the heart, Professional mercy. The warehouse went silent except for ringing ears and labored breathing. Kael emerged from cover, checked each body, making sure. Always making sure. Lyra stood frozen, watching. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. The gun felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. "It's over," Simone said quietly. "We need to move. Police will be here in minutes." "Iris," Lyra's voice cracked. "We can't leave her." Kael walked to where Iris's body lay, knelt beside her, closed her eyes gently. "I'm sorry for all of this. You deserved better. We need to take her," Lyra said. "We can't just... We have to." Kael stood. "If we take her body, we become suspects. They'll track us, hunt us. We'll never be free." "I don't care about free. She was my friend, my responsibility. This is my fault." "It's not... Don't." The word came out as a scream. "Don't tell me it's not my fault. I called her. I led them to her. I got her killed. This is all on me." Kael crossed to her, pulled her against him even as she tried to fight it, held her while she broke, while sobs tore through her chest, while the reality of what she'd done, what she'd become, crashed down like a building collapsing. "We have to go," he said into her hair. "Right now, or we die here too." Sirens in the distance, getting closer. Simone was already moving toward the exit. Efficient, practical, survivor. Lyra looked back one more time. At Iris. At the friend she'd destroyed by association. At the price of loving someone like Kael Draven. Then she followed him into the darkness. They ran through back alleys, industrial corridors, places where cameras didn't reach and people didn't ask questions. Simone led. She knew the city's skeleton, the hidden veins that kept it alive. They reached a garage 3 blocks from the pier. Different car. Already prepared. Keys in the ignition. Go bag in the trunk. Kael always had contingencies. "Where?" Simone asked as she drove. "Airport, private terminal, there's a charter waiting." "Destination?" "Anywhere that isn't here." They drove in silence. Lyra sat in back watching the city blur past. Lights and buildings and lives continuing like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't just killed 3 people. Like Iris wasn't lying dead in a warehouse waiting for cops to find her. "I'm a murderer," she said. "Not to anyone specifically, just stating facts." "You're a survivor," Kael corrected. "There's a difference." "Is there?" "Yes. Murder implies choice, intent. You were defending yourself. Defending us." I walked back into that warehouse. That was a choice. Made under extreme duress, after watching your friend die. Any court would... I'm not worried about courts. I'm worried about mirrors. She looked at her hands, still stained with Iris's blood. "How do you do it? Live with this? The killing?" Kael was quiet for a long moment. "Badly. I live with it badly. Some days I function, some days I don't. Most days I just exist, going through motions, pretending I'm human. And now I get to do the same." "No, you get to be better than me. You get to feel it, to let it hurt. That's what separates you from people like me." "I don't want to feel it. It's too much. It's..." Her voice broke. "I can't carry this." Simone spoke from the driver's seat. "Then don't. Not alone. That's the point of having people. They help carry what you can't." "You barely know me. I know enough. You stayed when anyone sane would have run. You fought when you should have hidden. You loved someone the world told you to fear." She met Lyra's eyes in the rearview mirror. That's worth carrying weight for. They reached the airport at 2:43 a.m. private terminal. No TSA, no questions, just money changing hands and doors opening. The charter was small, 8 seats. Pilot who looked like he'd flown contraband in 3 different countries. He didn't ask about the blood, didn't ask anything. "Mexico City," Kael told him. "Fast as you can." They were airborne by 3:17 a.m. Manhattan disappeared below them. City lights fading into darkness. Everything Lyra had known shrinking to nothing. She sat next to the window, forehead pressed against cold plastic, watching America vanish. Kael sat beside her. Didn't talk, just existed nearby. Available, but not intrusive. Simone sat across the aisle, already asleep, or pretending to be, giving them privacy. "What happens now?" Lyra asked finally. We disappear. New identities, new lives. Somewhere they can't find us. For how long? Forever. Or until they stop looking. Whichever comes first. I don't know how to be someone else. Neither do I. We'll figure it out together. Lyra turned to look at him. I don't blame you for any of this. I need you to know that. You should blame me. But I don't. We made choices. Both of us. Good and bad. This is where they led. To you covered in your friend's blood, running from the law, wanted for murder. That's where my choices led. Also to me alive, when by all rights I should be dead. You kept me breathing. That counts for something. Kael touched her face, traced the cut on her forehead where shrapnel had split skin. I'm sorry I couldn't save her too. You tried. We both tried. It wasn't enough. Lyra leaned into his touch. Tell me about Mexico City. What's it like? Big, chaotic, easy to disappear if you know how. We'll stay there a few weeks, then move again. Keep moving until the heat dies down. And then? Then maybe we stop, find somewhere quiet, build something that looks like a life. Do you really believe we can? I have to, because the alternative is running forever, and eventually even I'll get tired. The plane flew through darkness, hours passing in mechanical drone of engines and pressurized silence. Somewhere over the Gulf, Lyra finally slept. Not restful, not peaceful, but unconscious enough that her brain stopped screaming for a while. She dreamed of Iris, of the warehouse, of blood and gunfire and choices that couldn't be unmade. She woke gasping, Kael's hand on her shoulder, anchoring her to reality. You're okay. Just a dream. It's not. It's real. All of it. I know. But you're safe right now. That's what matters. Safe feels like a lie. Sometimes lies are all we have. They landed in Mexico City at dawn, the city waking up around them, noise and color and life, continuing like violence was something that happened somewhere else, to other people. Simone had contacts, safe houses, resources. She led them through the city to an apartment in Polanco, upscale, anonymous, the kind of place where neighbors minded their business. 3 days, she said. Then we move. Don't go out unless necessary. Don't call anyone. Don't exist on paper. What are you going to do? Kael asked. Clean up the mess in New York. Make sure the investigation goes cold. Buy you time. Simone, I'm not arguing. This is my job. Let me do it. She left before either of them could protest. The apartment was furnished but soulless. Expensive furniture that nobody loved. Art on walls chosen by decorators instead of humans. Everything perfect and empty, like a tomb designed by architects. Lyra stood in the bathroom, stared at her reflection, barely recognized the woman looking back. Blood in her hair, bruises forming, eyes that had seen too much in too short a time. She turned on the shower, watched water run brown, then pink, then finally clear as Iris's blood washed away. Washed down the drain into Mexican sewers, into the ocean, into forever. The physical evidence disappeared. The rest would take longer. Kael knocked on the door. You okay in there? Define okay. Fair point. Can I come in? Yeah. He entered, sat on the closed toilet lid, watched her through the frosted shower glass. You should sleep, he said. Can't. Every time I close my eyes, I see her. That won't go away for a while. How long? Years. Maybe never completely, but it gets manageable, eventually. That's not reassuring. It's honest. Lyra turned off the water, stepped out. Kael handed her a towel without looking, giving her privacy even now. I need to tell her family, she said, about what happened. They deserve to know. You can't. Any contact traces back to you, makes you a suspect. So they just never know? She just disappears? The police will notify them when they identify the body. As a victim of gang violence? A random casualty? That's not fair. None of this is fair, but it's survival. And survival means hard choices. Lyra dried off, got dressed. Her hands moved mechanically. Muscle memory handling what her brain couldn't process. They sat together in the living room, watching sunrise paint the city gold through floor-to-ceiling windows, beautiful and indifferent. What did you study? Kael asked suddenly. What? Before medical illustration. What did you study in school? The question felt surreal. Normal conversation in the wreckage of their lives. Anatomy, biology. I wanted to be a surgeon initially. Why didn't you? Because I froze the first time I saw a live surgery. Not the blood, not the cutting, the responsibility. Knowing one mistake could kill someone, I couldn't handle that pressure. So you chose illustration instead. Yeah, all the anatomy, none of the death. Or so I thought. She laughed, bitter. Turns out death finds you anyway. It does, but you handled it, tonight, in the warehouse. You didn't freeze. Because I wasn't thinking, I was just reacting, surviving. That's all any of us do. React until the threat passes, then fall apart after. Is that what you do? Every time. Lyra looked at him. You're falling apart right now, aren't you? Completely. You hide it well. Years of practice. They sat in comfortable silence, two broken people holding each other together through proximity alone. I want to call my mother, Lyra said finally. You can't. I know, but I want to. Tell her I'm alive, that I'm okay, that she doesn't need to worry. She's going to worry anyway. That's what mothers do. Mine especially. She'll see the news, the warehouse shooting, she'll assume the worst. Better she assumes than knows for certain. Gives her hope. Hope that her daughter isn't a murderer. Hope that her daughter is alive. That's all that matters to her. Lyra wanted to argue. Couldn't find the energy. Everything hurt. Her body, her mind. Her soul felt scraped raw. How long before they connect me to the warehouse, she asked. Depends on how good the investigators are. Could be days, could be hours if they run DNA on the blood at the scene. My blood. Yes. So we're on a clock. We're always on a clock. This just made it faster. A phone rang, Kael's burner. He answered, listened. His expression went from neutral to grim. Understood. When? Right. We'll be ready. He hung up. What? Lyra asked. That was Simone. The federal investigation moved faster than expected. They're identifying bodies, running prints. Your name came up. How? The bullets. Ballistics matched to the gun you used. They ran the serial number, traced it back to a dealer I used. He gave them everything. So they know I was theirs. They know someone using your gun was there. But they also found your DNA and irises. They're connecting dots. Fast. Lyra felt her stomach drop. How fast? They issued a warrant 2 hours ago for questioning initially, murder charges pending evidence. Jesus Christ. Interpol will get involved soon. International manhunt. This gets much harder from here. How much harder? We need to move. Today. Now. And we need to go deep. Somewhere without extradition treaties. Somewhere they can't touch us legally. Where? I'm thinking Argentina. Or maybe Southeast Asia. Somewhere with cash economies and flexible law enforcement. That sounds like hell. It's survival. Hell is better than prison. They packed in under 20 minutes. Everything essential, everything portable. Lyra felt like she'd been running forever. Like stillness was a myth she'd invented during a previous life. Simone returned at 10:47 a.m., looking exhausted, defeated. It's bad, she said without preamble. Every agency is looking for you both. CIA, FBI, Interpol. They're treating it as organized crime with international implications. Because of my family, Kael said. Because you slaughtered half of it in one night. That doesn't go unnoticed. Options? Limited. I can get you to Argentina. Contact there owes me. But after that, you're on your own. My reach doesn't extend to South America. We'll manage. Will you? Simone looked at Lyra. This isn't going to get easier. Running changes you, makes you paranoid, isolated. You'll stop trusting everyone, stop sleeping properly, stop feeling safe anywhere. Can you live like that? I don't have a choice. Everyone has a choice. Yours is coming up fast. Meaning? Meaning there's another option. You turn yourself in, cooperate with authorities, testify against what's left of the Draven organization, plea deal, witness protection. New life, but legal. Lyra looked at Kael. What do you think? I think you should consider it. And you? I can't turn myself in. Too many bodies, too many crimes. I'd die in prison. But you have a chance. Clean record until tonight. Good reason for being there. They might show mercy. Might. Better odds than running forever. Lyra felt something crack inside her. You're telling me to leave you. I'm telling you to save yourself. By abandoning you. By choosing life over loyalty to someone who's already destroyed. You're not destroyed. Yes, I am. I just haven't stopped moving long enough to fall apart completely. But I will, soon. And I don't want you there when it happens. Kael, please. The word sounded like it cost him everything. Please take the deal. Live. Build something good. Be the person you were before I ruined you. You didn't ruin me. Look in the mirror. Look at your hands. Tell me I didn't ruin you. Lyra looked down. Her hands were steady now, clean. But she could still feel Iris's blood. Still feel the recoil of the gun. Still feel the weight of taking lives. I love you, she said. That hasn't changed. It should have. But it didn't. Kael pulled her close, held her like she was the only real thing left in the world. If you love me, prove it. Turn yourself in. Take the deal. Survive this. Not without you. Especially without me. They stood like that. Locked together while the clock ticked down, while choices narrowed to impossible options. Simone cleared her throat. Decision needs to happen in the next 10 minutes. After that, we lose the window. What window? Lyra asked. The one where I can still make calls, still negotiate, still buy you leverage. After that, you're just fugitives. Kael pulled back, looked Lyra in the eyes. What do you want? Really want? Not what you think I want. Not what seems noble. What does your gut tell you? Lyra closed her eyes, listened. Underneath the fear and grief and exhaustion, she heard something. Truth. She opened her eyes. I want to run with you, however long we have, whatever it costs. I want us to have that. That's insane. Probably, but it's my choice, and I'm making it. Kael searched her face, looking for doubt, hesitation. Found none. Okay, he said finally. Okay. We run. Together. Simone nodded. Argentina it is. Cars downstairs, leaves in 5 minutes. They grabbed their bags, moved toward the door. The elevator descended. 43 floors to the garage. Each floor felt like a countdown to something irreversible. The doors opened. 3 men stood waiting. Suits. Professional. FBI written all over them. Kael Draven, Lyra Vale. You're under arrest for murder, racketeering, and conspiracy to commit acts of terrorism. You have the right to... Kael moved. Faster than thought. Faster than reaction. He grabbed Lyra and pulled her backward. Hit the elevator button. Doors started closing. One of the agents lunged, got his hand in. Doors bounced open. Kael kicked him in the chest, sent him sprawling. Hit the button again. This time the doors closed. Oh God, oh God, oh God. Lyra couldn't breathe. How did they... Doesn't matter. We're compromised. Simone... But Simone was already moving. Phone out, making calls. Rooftop, helicopter, 2 minutes. Move. They ran upstairs, 43 flights, legs screaming, lungs burning. Behind them, doors crashed open, footsteps thundering, voices shouting for them to stop. They didn't stop. Burst onto the roof, wind whipping, city spreading below like a judgment. The helicopter was already there, rotors spinning, pilot gesturing frantically to hurry. They ran for it. 10 feet away. 5. The roof access door exploded open, agents pouring out, weapons drawn. Stop or we fire. Kael didn't stop. Pulled Lyra toward the helicopter. Simone covering their retreat. Firing shots that went wide. Warning shots, buying seconds. They reached the helicopter, scrambled inside. Go, 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 Simone screamed. The pilot pulled up. Hard. The helicopter lurched into the sky. Below them, agents fired, rounds pinging off metal. One shattered the windscreen, spiderweb cracks spreading. The pilot swore in Spanish, banked hard, put buildings between them and the shooters. They flew low, weaving through downtown Mexico City, sirens wailing below, more helicopters scrambling, police, military, everyone. Where? The pilot shouted. Border, Simone said. Guatemala. Fast as this thing can fly. We won't make it. They'll have F-16 TLS in the air in 20 minutes. Then get us close enough to drive the rest. They flew. Minutes stretching into hours, every second expecting missiles, fighter jets, the end. It didn't come. They landed in a field 70 miles from the Guatemalan border, middle of nowhere. Just dirt and scrub and horizon. A truck waited. Old, battered, perfect. This is where I leave you, Simone said. Come with us, Lyra said. You're implicated now, too. I'll be fine. I know how to disappear. But you two need each other more than you need me. She looked at Kael. Keep her alive, that's an order. I'll try. Don't try. Do. She hugged them both, quick, professional, then got back in the helicopter. It lifted off, disappeared toward Mexico City, toward cleanup and consequences. Kael and Lyra stood alone in the field, truck idling, border ahead, everything behind them burning. Ready? He asked. No. But let's go anyway. They drove through dust and heat, through small towns where nobody looked twice at gringos passing through checkpoints that accepted bribes without questions. They crossed into Guatemala at sunset, no drama, no fanfare, just tired guards waving them through. On the other side, Lyra finally breathed. We made it, she said. We made it out of Mexico, still have the rest of the world to worry about. Let me have this moment. Okay, we made it. They drove until darkness made roads invisible, stopped at a motel that rented rooms by the hour, and didn't ask for passports. Inside, they collapsed, too exhausted to shower, too wired to sleep. What now? Lyra asked. Now we figure out how to be nobody, how to not exist, how to live without leaving traces. Sounds impossible. It is, but we're doing it anyway. She turned to face him. Do you regret it? Choosing me over everything else? Kael thought about it, really thought. Ask me in a year. That's not an answer. It's the only honest one I have. They lay in darkness, listening to trucks on the highway, voices through thin walls, the world continuing despite them. I killed 3 people tonight, Lyra said quietly. I know. That number will never go down. Only up. I know. How do you live with it? Kael rolled to face her. By finding something worth living for, something bigger than the body count, something that makes the weight bearable. What's yours? Right now? He touched her face. You. Lyra felt tears slide down her temples. That's too much pressure. I know, but it's true anyway. They held each other while exhaustion finally won, while consciousness faded, while somewhere far away people they'd killed were being identified, families were being notified, investigations were accelerating. But here, in this moment, they were just 2 people who'd survived another day. Tomorrow would bring new problems, new choices, new consequences. But tomorrow hadn't arrived yet. And in the space between disaster and dawn, they found something like peace, even if it couldn't last, even if morning meant running again. For now, they had each other. And that would have to be enough. 6 months. That's how long they ran before the world finally caught up. 6 months of sleeping in different beds every week, of learning to wake at the smallest sound, of watching every face in every crowd for signs of recognition. 6 months of becoming ghosts. They moved through Central America like smoke. Guatemala to Honduras to El Salvador. Never staying anywhere long enough to leave impressions. Paying cash. Avoiding cameras. Speaking only when necessary. Lyra learned Spanish in motels where cockroaches outnumbered guests. Learned to sleep with one eye open. Learned that hunger was just another sensation you could ignore if survival demanded it. Kael taught her everything he knew. How to spot surveillance. How to disappear in crowds. How to read exits before entering rooms. How to become nobody. It should have broken them. The constant movement. The paranoia. The isolation. Instead, it forged something harder. They fought sometimes. Vicious arguments fueled by exhaustion and fear. About stupid things. Which direction to drive. What name to use at the next checkpoint. Whether the man at the gas station looked too long. But they always came back together. Because apart meant alone. And alone meant death. The news followed them. International manhunt, multiple agencies coordinating, rewards posted, their faces on wanted posters in 3 languages. Lyra stopped looking at mirrors, stopped recognizing the woman she'd become. Hard eyes, lean body carved down to muscle and bone, hands that no longer shook when holding weapons. She drew sometimes, when they found moments of stillness. Hearts mostly. Always hearts. But the illustrations changed, became darker, more accurate to what she now knew about human anatomy. That hearts were just meat, muscle contracting because stopping meant death. Nothing poetic, nothing romantic, just machinery grinding until it failed. Kael watched her work. Never commented, just sat nearby, present, available. "You're getting better," he said one night in a Costa Rican beach town, watching her sketch by candlelight because electricity was unreliable. "At drawing? At surviving? Is that a compliment?" "It's an observation." Lyra set down her pencil. "I don't feel better. I feel hollowed out, like everything that made me human got scraped away." "You're still human." "Am I? I killed 3 people 6 months ago and I barely think about it anymore. That's not human. That's something else." "It's adaptation, your brain protecting itself from trauma it can't process." "You sound like a therapist." "I had a lot of therapy before I became what I am. Didn't take." "Why not?" Kael was quiet for a long time. "Because therapy requires honesty, and I was raised to lie about everything, especially to myself." "And now?" "Now I'm too far gone for therapy." "But you're not. When this is over, if it's ever over, you should talk to someone. Process everything before it calcifies into something you can't fix." "When will it be over?" "I don't know. Maybe never. Maybe tomorrow." That's the thing about running. You never know when you've run far enough. They left Costa Rica the next morning, crossed into Panama, then Colombia, moving south, always south, toward the bottom of the world where extradition treaties got complicated. Argentina became the goal. Buenos Aires specifically. Big enough to disappear, civilized enough to have resources, far enough that American law enforcement would struggle to operate. They made it to Bogota in late September, 6.5 months after the warehouse, after Iris, after everything burned. The contact Simone had arranged met them in a cafe, woman in her 50s, sharp eyes, expensive clothes hiding a life spent navigating gray markets. "You're the Draven boy," she said to Kael. Not a question. "I was." "And you're the illustrator," looking at Lyra, "the one who killed her way out of New York." I defended myself. "Same thing in our world." The woman smiled, thin, professional. "I'm Isabella. Simone asked me to help, so I'm helping. But we need to be clear about expectations." "Which are?" Kael asked. "You stay low, don't make noise, don't draw attention. I can get you papers, identities, work if you need it. But I can't protect you from stupid choices." "Understood." "Good. Because the Americans are pushing hard. Interpol, DEA, even CIA is sniffing around. Your faces are everywhere. Getting you to Argentina is going to be expensive and dangerous." "How expensive?" Isabella named a figure. 6 months ago, it would have seemed impossible. Now it was just another number. Kael pulled cash from a bag, counted it out. Isabella took it, examined several bills. "This is half." "Other half on delivery. Smart. I like smart clients. They live longer." She stood. "Stay here 3 days. Don't leave this address. I'll bring documents. Then we move fast." She left. Lyra and Kael sat in the apartment Isabella had provided. Bare concrete, single window overlooking an alley. The kind of place designed for people who needed to vanish quickly. "Do you trust her?" Lyra asked. "No, but Simone does. That's enough." "Have you heard from Simone?" "Not in 4 months. Radio silence is safer for everyone." "So we're alone." "We've been alone since Mexico." Lyra walked to the window, watched rain streak down glass. "I miss Iris. I know. I dream about her sometimes. She's always bleeding, always asking why I didn't save her." "That's guilt talking, not truth." "Is there a difference?" "Yes. Truth is that you tried, that you fought, that you killed the people responsible. Guilt is your brain punishing you for surviving when she didn't." Maybe I deserve punishment. Maybe. But you're getting it regardless. That's the price of living. 3 days passed like suspended animation. They didn't leave, didn't speak much, just existed in the space between disaster and whatever came next. Isabella returned on the 4th day, brought papers, passports, driver's licenses, birth certificates, complete identities. "You're now Marcus and Elena Soto," she said, "Colombian nationals, emigrating to Argentina for work, banking records, employment history, everything you need." Lyra examined the passport. Her face, different name. "How did you Better you don't know details. What matters is they'll pass inspection. Unless someone runs deep background, then you're exposed." "How long until someone does?" Kael asked. "Depends on priority. Could be months, could be never. Americans are persistent, but bureaucracy slows everyone down." "When do we leave?" "Tonight. Private flight to Mendoza. Then you drive to Buenos Aires. I have a flat arranged, first month paid. After that, you're on your own." "Why Mendoza?" "Because flying direct to Buenos Aires means more security, more cameras, more risk. We go sideways, approach from unexpected angles. That's how you survive." They left at midnight. Small plane. Pilot who didn't speak, didn't make eye contact, just flew. The Andes passed below them, peaks catching moonlight, beautiful and indifferent. The kind of beauty that existed before humans and would exist after. Lyra pressed her face to the window. "I used to dream about traveling, seeing the world. This isn't what I imagined." "What did you imagine?" "Museums, galleries, medical conferences in interesting cities, meeting people, learning things, building a career that mattered." "Your career did matter. Those cardiac illustrations saved lives, helped surgeons understand anatomy. That's not nothing. It feels like nothing now, like it happened to someone else." "It did. You're different now. We both are. Do you miss who you were before?" Kael thought about it. "I don't remember who I was before. The family, the violence. It's been my whole life. I don't have a before." "That's sad. It's reality. But you had a before, a real one, with friends and family and a future that didn't involve running." "Had, past tense. You could get it back, eventually, with the right lawyer, the right story, self-defense, duress. A good attorney could argue." "Stop." Lyra turned from the window. "We've had this conversation. I'm not turning myself in. I'm not leaving you. I made my choice. A choice you might regret. Probably, but it's mine. Let me own it." They landed in Mendoza at 3:47 a.m. Isabella's people had a car waiting. Old sedan, unremarkable, keys in the ignition. Isabella handed Kael a phone. "Burner, my number is programmed. Call if you need help, but try not to need help." "Thank you. For everything. Don't thank me yet. Thank me in a year if you're still breathing." She disappeared into the pre-dawn darkness. Kael drove. East toward Buenos Aires, through wine country, through mountains giving way to plains, through sunrise painting everything gold. Lyra slept. First real sleep in weeks, deep enough to dream, deep enough to not remember the dreams after. She woke as they entered Buenos Aires. The city spreading before them, massive, chaotic, perfect for disappearing. The flat was in Palermo. 3rd floor walk-up, small but clean, furnished with cast-offs and donated furniture. Windows overlooking a street market that would provide noise and crowds and anonymity. They moved in with nothing but bags. No history, no traces. Just two people starting over in a city that didn't know their names. "What now?" Lyra asked, standing in the empty living room, sunlight cutting through dusty windows. "Now we build a life, or something that looks like one." "Doing what?" "Whatever we can. I speak Spanish. I can work security, private contracts, cash jobs." "And me?" "You're an artist. Draw. Sell work online under fake names. Teach classes. There are options." "Legal options." "Legal enough." They unpacked. Lyra set up a workspace by the window, bought cheap art supplies from a street vendor, started drawing again. Not medical illustrations. Those felt like a previous life. Instead, she drew the city, buildings, people, life continuing despite everything. Kael found work with the private security firm. No questions asked. cash under the table, 12-hour shifts guarding warehouses and construction sites, coming home exhausted, collapsing into bed. They built a routine, something approaching normal. Markets on Sundays, coffee at the cafe downstairs, Spanish lessons from a neighbor who thought they were Colombian immigrants starting fresh, which wasn't entirely a lie. Months passed. The heat died down. International alerts got buried under new crimes, new priorities. They stopped seeing their faces in wanted posters, started believing they might actually survive this. Then one Tuesday in late February, everything shattered. Lyra was sketching at the cafe, lost in work. Didn't notice the man until he sat down across from her. Mid-40s, American, wearing the kind of casual clothes that screamed federal agent trying to blend in. Lyra Vale, he said quietly. Or should I call you Elena Soto? Her blood turned to ice. I don't know what... Don't, please. I'm not here to arrest you. I'm here to talk. I have nothing to say. Then listen. He slid a card across the table. Department of Justice, Special Investigator. Name, David Chen. I'm Iris's brother. The world tilted. Lyra couldn't breathe. You're her older brother. I've been looking for you since the warehouse. Since she died. And before you run, hear me out, please. Every instinct screamed to bolt, to run, to disappear before he could call backup, but the name stopped her. Chen. Iris's family name, family she'd destroyed by association. How did you find me? She managed. I'm good at my job, and you're not as invisible as you think. Facial recognition, pattern analysis. Eventually, everyone makes a mistake. Are you here to arrest me? If I was, you'd already be in handcuffs. I told you. I'm here to talk. About Iris. About what happened. About the truth. The truth is I got her killed. The truth is more complicated than that. David leaned forward. I know what happened. I've seen the evidence. The surveillance. The forensics. You didn't kill Iris. You tried to save her. The people who took her killed her, not you. I led them to her. They would have found her anyway. The Draven organization was thorough. They had files on everyone connected to Kael. Iris was marked the moment you called her. That phone call didn't matter. Lyra felt tears sliding down her face. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserve to know, and because I need to understand. My sister died in a warehouse surrounded by violence. I need to know it meant something, that her death wasn't random. It wasn't random. It was targeted. They used her to get to me, to get to Kael. She was leverage that stopped being useful. So they killed her. Yes. David was quiet for a long moment. Did they suffer, the people responsible? Lyra met his eyes. Yes, they suffered. Good. He stood. I'm not going to arrest you, Lyra. What happened at that warehouse was self-defense. Justified use of force. Any prosecutor with half a brain could see that. But you ran, and running made you look guilty. I had no choice. You always have a choice, and yours was Kael Draven over justice. I understand that. Love makes people do insane things. He pulled out another card. Different number. This is a private line, untraceable. If you ever want to come in, tell your story officially. Make sure the record reflects what really happened. Call me. And if I don't, then you keep running, and I keep hunting other cases. Either way, Iris is still dead. But at least now you know the truth. You didn't kill her. They did. And you made them pay for it. He walked away, disappeared into the Buenos Aires crowds, left Lyra sitting alone with two cards and a truth she didn't know how to carry. She went home, found Kael packing a bag. We need to leave, he said without preamble. Now. What happened? Someone made me at work, recognized my face from wanted posters, called it in. We have maybe an hour before they triangulate this location. Kael, no arguments. Grab essentials. We're gone in 5 minutes. Wait. Lyra pulled out the cards. Someone already found us. She told him about David, about the conversation, about the offer. Kael stared at the cards. Federal investigator. He could have arrested you. Didn't. Why? Because he's Iris's brother, and he knows the truth. The truth doesn't matter to prosecutors. Evidence matters, and the evidence says you killed 3 people. In self-defense, he said so himself. He's one man, not a jury. You really think turning yourself in means freedom? No, but maybe it means closure. Maybe it means stopping this endless running. Kael sat down heavily. You want to turn yourself in. I don't know what I want. I'm tired, Kael. So tired. And I don't know how much longer I can keep doing this. So what? You just give up? Call that number and surrender? Maybe. Or maybe I tell my story, the real one, and hope someone listens. They won't. You don't know that. I know the system. I know how power works. You tell the truth, and they'll twist it into whatever narrative serves them best. You'll spend 20 years in prison while they parade you as an example. Or maybe I don't. Maybe telling the truth matters. Truth is a luxury people like us can't afford. Lyra looked at him. Really looked. Saw the exhaustion carved into his features, the paranoia, the slow death of living like prey. Is this really living? She asked quietly. Running forever? Never settling? Never having anything real? It's survival. That's not the same thing. It's all we have. Is it? Or is it all you think we deserve? The question hit like a slap. Kael stood, paced, hands clenching and unclenching. What do you want from me? I want you to consider the possibility that there's another way. That we don't have to run forever. That maybe turning ourselves in and telling the truth is better than dying slowly and hiding. You're talking about prison. I'm talking about living, really living, with our names, our faces, our story, instead of pretending to be people we're not. They'll separate us. You know that. Different facilities, different states. We'll never see each other again. Maybe. Or maybe we fight for a deal. Testimony for leniency. Simone had it right. We turn, we cooperate, we dismantle what's left of your family's organization in exchange for reduced sentences. You don't know what you're asking. Then explain it to me. Kael stopped pacing, looked at her with something like desperation. I've done terrible things. Things I can't take back. Things no judge or jury will forgive. If I turn myself in, I die in prison. That's not hyperbole. That's reality. And if you don't, you die out here. Eventually, someone will find you, someone will recognize you, and it'll end badly. At least in prison, there's a chance at what? Redemption? I'm not redeemable, Lyra. I'm too far gone. I don't believe that. You should. Well, I don't. She crossed to him, took his hands. I love you. The real you. Not the enforcer, not the killer. The man who asked if I was okay when no one else did. The man who chose me over everything. That person is worth saving. Even if saving him means losing him? Even then. Kael pulled her close, held her like drowning. I can't lose you. I've lost everything else. But I can't lose you. You won't. Whatever happens, we're together. That's the promise. That's what we have. They stood like that, holding each other while sirens sounded somewhere distant, getting closer. They're coming, Kael said. I know. We need to decide, right now, run or surrender. Lyra pulled back, looked at his face, memorized every detail, every scar, every line, every mark that told the story of who he'd become. Let's stop running, she said. Lyra, please, let's tell our story. Face whatever comes, together. No more hiding, no more pretending, just truth. Kael searched her eyes, looking for doubt, found only certainty. Okay, he whispered. Okay, we surrender. Together. Lyra pulled out David Chen's card, called the number. He answered on the first ring. Lyra? I want to come in, tell my story, officially. Where are you? She gave the address. But there's a condition. Kael Draven comes with me. We tell our story together. We cooperate fully, but we stay together. That's non-negotiable. Silence on the line, then I can't guarantee that. Then we run, and you never find us again. More silence. I'll make calls, see what I can do. Don't move. I'm coming to you. The line went dead. Lyra and Kael sat together on the couch, waiting, listening to sirens getting closer, to footsteps in the hallway, to the world closing in. I'm scared, Lyra said. Me too. What if this is a mistake? Then it's our mistake, made together, with eyes open. The door burst open, federal agents, weapons drawn, shouting orders. Lyra and Kael raised their hands, didn't resist, didn't fight. David Chen appeared in the doorway. Don't shoot! They're cooperating. Cuffs clicked around wrists, rights read in English and Spanish, the machinery of justice grinding into motion. They were separated, different cars, different routes. Lyra watched through the window as Kael disappeared into Buenos Aires traffic. Gone, but not lost. Not yet. The interrogation lasted 14 hours. Question after question, detail after detail. Lyra told everything, the text message, the relationship, the threats, the warehouse. Iris dying in her arms, the people she killed, all of it. She didn't cry, didn't break. Just spoke truth until her voice went hoarse. David Chen sat across from her, recording everything. Why should we believe you? Why should any of this matter? Because it's the truth, and truth has to matter. If it doesn't, then what's the point of any of this? Truth and evidence aren't the same thing. Then look at the evidence, Iris's autopsy, the angles of the shots, the timeline. It all matches what I'm telling you. And the people you killed. Self-defense, I was being shot at. What was I supposed to do? Die quietly? Most people would have surrendered. Most people didn't watch their best friend bleed out. Most people didn't spend 6 months running for their lives. I'm not most people anymore. David leaned back. No, you're not. 2 days later, they brought Kael in. Same room, different interrogator, but David Chen still observing. Tell me about your family, the interrogator said. Woman in her 30s, sharp eyes, no sympathy visible. Kael told her everything. The organization, the violence. His uncle Lucian, the council meeting, the bodies, the empire burning, all of it. When he finished, the woman consulted her notes. You've confessed to multiple counts of murder, racketeering, money laundering, conspiracy. You understand that's life in prison? Minimum. Yes. And you're willing to cooperate, testify against remaining family members, provide documentation, evidence? Yes. On one condition. You're not in a position to make conditions. Then we're done talking. Kael stood. I want my lawyer. The woman glanced at David. He nodded. What's your condition? She asked. Lyra Vale stays with me. Same facility, conjugal rights, protective custody together. If you separate us, I stop talking. Permanently. That's not how this works. Then make it work. I'm handing you the Draven organization on a platter. Names, accounts, operations, everything. That's worth something. The woman left the room, returned an hour later. We can offer modified protective custody. Same facility, separate cells but shared common areas. Supervised contact. That's as far as we can go. Not good enough. It's the best deal you're going to get. Take it or spend the rest of your life in maximum security. Alone. Kael looked at David. Your call, your agency. Can you make this work? David hesitated, then nodded. I can make it work. But you both have to deliver. Full cooperation. Complete testimony. If either of you holds back, the deal is void. Agreed, Kael said. The trials took 18 months, multiple jurisdictions, multiple charges, prosecutors from 3 countries coordinating. It was exhausting, brutal, relentless. But Lyra and Kael testified. Together, told their story, the whole truth. Nothing held back. The jury deliberated for 6 days, came back with a verdict. Lyra, not guilty on murder charges. Guilty of weapons violations and conspiracy. Sentence, 8 years with possibility of parole after 4. Kael, guilty on multiple counts. Sentence, 25 years. Eligible for parole after 15. They were taken to a federal facility in upstate New York. Modified protective custody. Separate cells. But together during meals. Exercise. Therapy sessions. Not freedom, but not separation either. Time passed differently inside. Days blurred together. Weeks became months. Months became years. Lyra drew. Taught art classes to other inmates. Wrote letters to her mother. Rebuilt bridges she thought were burned forever. Kael read. Learned languages. Worked in the prison library. Became someone who helped instead of hurt. They saw each other every day. Brief conversations. Supervised contact. But together. Always together. On Lyra's 4th anniversary inside, David Chen visited. Parole board approved your early release, he said. You're getting out next month. Lyra felt her heart stop. What about Kael? He's got 11 more years minimum, maybe less with good behavior, but he's staying. Then I'm staying too. That's not how this works. You're free. Take it. Not without him, David sighed. He thought you'd say that. Asked me to give you this. He handed her a letter. Kael's handwriting. Familiar. Precise. Lyra, if you're reading this, you got parole. Good. You deserve freedom more than anyone I know. I need you to take it. Not for me. For you. Go back to your life. Draw. Create. Build something that matters. Don't waste years waiting for me. I'll survive. I always do. And when I get out, if I get out, I'll find you. That's a promise. But you need to live first. Really live. Not just survive. That's what I want for you. That's what you deserve. I love you. I always will. No matter how much time passes, no matter what happens, that never changes. Go be free. I'll be here. Waiting. However long it takes. K. Lyra read it 3 times, tears sliding down her face. I can't just leave him. Yes, you can, and you will. Because he asked you to. Because it's the right thing. David stood. I'll drive you out myself. Make sure you get settled. It's what Iris would have wanted. The name hit like a punch. Iris. Dead 4 years, still haunting every decision. She'd want you to live, David said quietly. Not waste your life in here. She'd kick your ass for even considering it. Despite everything, Lyra almost smiled. Yeah, she would. She was released on a Tuesday in early spring, walked out of the facility into sunshine that felt too bright, too real. David drove her to Manhattan, to her old apartment building. It looked exactly the same, frozen in time. Your mother kept paying the rent, he said. Kept your things, just in case. Just in case I came back from the dead. Something like that. Lyra climbed out of the car, stood on the sidewalk, looked up at windows that used to be hers. What now? David asked. Now I figure out how to be human again, how to draw, how to exist outside survival mode. That's a process. Be patient with yourself. Are you a therapist now too? Just someone who understands loss and recovery and the long road between them. He drove away, left Lyra standing alone with keys to a life she barely remembered. She climbed the stairs, opened the door. Everything was exactly as she'd left it, dusty but preserved, like a museum of her previous existence. Her drafting table, her art supplies, her sketches of hearts pinned to walls. She sat down, picked up a pencil, tried to draw. The lines wouldn't come. Her hand shook. The muscle memory was gone. She tried again, and again, and again. On the 15th attempt, something clicked. The pencil moved. Lines appeared. Rough at first, then smoother, more confident. She drew a heart, anatomically perfect. Every chamber, every vessel, every detail precise, but different from before. This heart had scars, had damage, had history written in torn tissue and healed valves. This was a heart that survived, that kept beating despite trauma, despite everything. She looked at the drawing, and for the first time in 4 years, Lyra felt something other than pain. Hope. 11 years passed. Lyra rebuilt her career, published a new medical atlas titled Anatomy of Survival. It became required reading in surgical programs worldwide, 22 countries, translated into 8 languages. She never stopped visiting Kael, every month, sometimes twice. They talked through glass, about books, about art, about the future they'd build when he finally got out. And one morning in late October, 15 years after the warehouse, David Chen called. Parole board approved his release. He's getting out tomorrow. Lyra's hands shook. Tomorrow? 6 a.m. Can you be there? I'll be there. She drove upstate through darkness, arrived at the facility as dawn broke, waited by the gates. At 6:14 a.m., Kael walked out, 15 years older, gray threading through dark hair, lines carved deeper, but alive, free, real. He saw her and stopped, like he couldn't quite believe she was there. Lyra walked toward him, closed the distance, stopped inches away. Hi, she said. Hi. His voice was rough, uncertain. You came. Of course I came. I've been waiting 15 years for this. You should have moved on, built a life, found someone. She kissed him, shut him up, tasted salt and tears and freedom. When they pulled apart, both were crying. I did build a life, she said. I just built it around coming back to you. That's insane. Probably, but we've always been insane. Kael laughed. Actually laughed. The sound rusty, but real. Yeah, we have. They got in her car, drove toward the city, toward whatever came next. Where are we going? Kael asked. Home. My apartment. Your apartment now, too, if you want it. I have nothing to offer you. No money. No prospects. No, you have you. That's enough. It's always been enough. They drove in comfortable silence, watching the world wake up around them, morning light painting everything gold. I got a job offer, Lyra said as they hit the city limits. Teaching medical illustration at NYU. Start next semester. That's amazing. I turned it down. Why? Because I have a better idea. I want to start a foundation for people like us, people caught in violence, trauma survivors, teaching art therapy, medical illustration as healing. I want to use everything I learned, everything we survived, to help others. Kael looked at her. That's perfect. I was hoping you'd help. Run operations, security, all the things you're good at, but legal this time. I don't know if I'm good at legal. Then we'll learn together, like everything else. They reached her building, parked, climbed stairs to the apartment that had waited 15 years. Inside, everything looked different. New furniture, new art, new life built from ashes. Kael stood in the middle of the living room, taking it in. You really waited, all this time. I told you I would. I thought you were being romantic, not literal. I was being both. He pulled her close, held her like something precious. I don't deserve this, any of this. Maybe not, but you're getting it anyway. That's how love works. They stood together while the city roared outside, while life continued, while the past stayed past and the future stretched ahead like a promise. What now? Kael asked. Lyra pulled back, looked at his face, older, scarred, beautiful. Now we live, really live. We've survived everything else. Time to see if we can survive peace. That might be harder than war, probably, but we'll manage. How do you know? Because we're still here, after everything. All the violence, all the running, all the impossible choices. We're still standing, still together. That has to mean something. It means we're stubborn. It means we're survivors. And survivors get to choose what comes next. Kael smiled. Small, real. The first genuine smile she'd seen in 15 years. Okay, let's choose. What do you want? Lyra thought about it. Really thought. I want to draw. I want to teach. I want to build something good from all the bad. I want to wake up next to you without wondering if someone's coming to kill us. I want normal, boring, beautiful normal. That sounds perfect. What about you? What do you want? I want to stop running, stop surviving. I want to learn how to just be with you, without violence, without fear, just us, building something that lasts. We can do that. You really believe that? Yes, don't you? Kael looked around the apartment, at the life she'd built waiting for him, at the woman who'd survived everything alongside him, at the future spreading before them like uncharted territory. Yeah, he said finally. I do. They started that day. Small steps. Kael got a job doing consulting for corporate security, legal contracts, background checks. Nothing violent, nothing illegal. Lyra launched her foundation, Hearts That Heal, teaching trauma survivors to express pain through art, through understanding the inside of things. It grew, slowly at first, then faster. People came, people stayed, people healed. Years passed, good ones, quiet ones, the kind they'd never thought they'd survive to see. One evening, 7 years after Kael's release, they sat on their apartment balcony, watching sunset paint Manhattan gold. I got a letter today, Lyra said, from Iris's mother. Kael looked up. What did it say? That she forgives me. Took her 22 years, but she forgives me. She said Iris would have too. Do you believe her? I don't know, but I want to. I need to. Then believe it. We've carried enough guilt. Maybe it's time to put some down. Lyra leaned against him. We survived. Somehow we actually survived. Against every odd. Think it was worth it? Everything we went through to get here? Kael was quiet for a long moment. Ask me tomorrow. That's not an answer. It's the most honest one I have. They sat together as darkness fell, as the city lit up below them, as life continued in all its messy, complicated, beautiful chaos. Somewhere distant, sirens wailed, but they weren't running anymore, weren't hiding, weren't surviving. They were living, and that, after everything, felt like victory. Not perfect, not clean, not what they'd planned when that first text message arrived at 1:13 a.m. all those years ago, but real, and real was enough. 3 words sent in anger had started it all. I hate everything. Now, sitting together watching the city breathe, Lyra thought maybe the response had been right all along. That makes 2 of us. But somewhere between hatred and hope, between destruction and healing, between the warehouse and this balcony, they'd found something neither expected. Not redemption, not forgiveness, not absolution for the things they'd done. Just each other. And permission to keep trying, to keep breathing, to keep building hearts, both on paper and in life, that survived despite damage, that beat despite trauma, that proved again and again that sometimes the most broken things were also the strongest. Lyra reached for Kael's hand. He took it, held on, neither speaking, just existing together in the silence that no longer felt empty, just full of everything they'd survived to find. And in that moment, in that quiet, in that simple act of holding on, they both understood something fundamental. They'd sent that first message to exactly the right number after all. Not wrong. Never wrong. Just perfectly, impossibly, catastrophically right.